Welcome all to NFL Pub Hub, the conference finals edition. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Pub Sports Radio. We have 11 cappers joining us over the next 2 hours, giving us their best bets for two monstrous football games that kick off in 27 short hours from now. The Commanders and Eagles will lock horns in the NFC Conference Finals. One of those two teams will reach the Super Bowl. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let me tell you a little bit about our show today. Ramon Scott hitting leadoff. We have Keith Each, Every Stride, Nicholas Earl, Marley Bets. Marley's been nothing short of spectacular. Back-to-back years he's been with us. He is our leader on the leaderboard of NFL Pub Hub. But we've had a couple cappers who are climbing quickly and are now within striking distance of our leader, Marley Bets. Flash then coming to us from Costa Rica. Justin McKelvie coming to us from Pennsylvania. We got Guns Picks, Brizzy, Just My 2 Cents, The Sweaty Butcher, and then Dave Rogers headlining this cavalcade of cappers. I'll tell you my thoughts throughout the proceedings. But simply put, underdogs are 7-3 against the spread in the playoffs so far. Underdogs went 4-0 against the spread on the closing line in the divisional round. That's just the third time it's happened in NFL history. That's the first time that's happened since 2007. And I think with the public all over the underdogs, once again, that the public is going to lose their shirts. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, I could be wrong, but I think 2 weeks from today, or in 15 days, because this is Saturday, we'll be here to see the Eagles try and stop the Chiefs from winning their third straight Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, and that is part of the fun. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let me tell you about my action. Washington, Philadelphia, under 48. Beat that line by a little bit. I'm on the Chiefs money line. Beat that line by a little bit. I'm on Buffalo, Kansas City, under 48. That line has gone against me. And I have my lone future for conference and Super Bowl. One future for conference Super Bowl all year long, and that is the Eagles to win the NFC at plus 600. That was bet and posted on October 30th. And I'm not hedging and not trying the middle and doing nothing. Sitting back and acting as if I have the Eagles on the money line at plus 600 for $500, pays out $3K. I'm in a situation where I send in all my futures to my local at the end of the year. So I've had I had a really nice, regular season futures. I'm receiving money. I'm in no concern. So there's no reason for me at this point to hedge or to middle. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I am very excited about this show, and I'm very excited about the man who's hitting leadoff for us. Our first guest 2 weeks ago gave out Derrick Henry over 149.5 rush yards at plus 550. Henry ran for, I think, 186 in that game. Cashed it. Last week, he gave us Travis Kelce, and he laddered over 69.5 receiving yards at plus 240. Kelce, of course, caught for 117 yards and a touchdown. What does he have in store for us this week? Currently ranked 5th out of 36 cappers here on the show, plus 2.05 units on the season. He's 13-16, but his average line of plus 170 is the third highest average line of the 36 cappers that we have joined us. The highest average line, Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast, his average line over 5-1. The second highest average line is from our friend Marley Bets from Kingston, Ontario. And our first guest has the third highest average line at plus 170. He's currently ranked 5th out of 36 cappers. He is the star of the Morning Steam show 7 days a week, 6 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the Sports Money YouTube channel. I can't wait to introduce him. But first, let me thank all of the cappers rocking with us. We got Nutflush Allen, Fernando Mendoza, Gorky, Dustin, Swiggy, Harold Williams, Bet L1L, and more cappers joining us. Huge football games tomorrow. We have the perfect leadoff hitter. Please welcome to the show from Las Vegas, Nevada, my friend and yours, Mr. Ramon Scott. Ramon, how are you, my man?
Well, Jimmy, I don't know if you know of anybody who does shows that last 3 or 4 hours. If you know what I mean, brother. And I just steamed over here to join you. I think I left all my friends in the chat over there so I could join you here to lead off with you. No big deal. But was kind of funny. I even said on the show, I said, I don't know what my call time is. I hope I'm not leading off, as I was doing the show and looking up my call time. And here I am. So I made it. And I wish the games were today, actually.
I'm pumped up. I wish they were today too, but I wanted you to hit leadoff. I knew it was going to be a tight morning for you, but this is a very important spot on this show. You've been spectacular the last 2 weeks. Overall, the last 2 weeks, 4 and 6, but plus 3.85 units, and he's got bombs on board. Shout out to Flash, Big Scott, Gorky, blessing our action with a Philly KC money line parlay. Thank you, Gorky. Ramon, let's get to work, my friend. We start 3 p.m. Eastern, the NFC Championship. Washington Commanders 12-5, 5-3 on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles 14-3, 8-1 at home. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm only going to set up the games for Ramon. For the rest of the show, the cappers will just be coming on and firing away. 39 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 10 mile per hour winds. There is an important injury for the Commanders. Their guard, Sam Cosmi, is out. It is a big loss for this offensive line with the Eagles led by Jalen Carter, the monster, waiting to attack this offensive line. Chris Paul, 2022 seventh round draft pick, will be replacing Cosmi in the starting lineup. Paul has 8 career NFL starts, 7 last year, just 1 this year. I spoke about Cosmi on Tuesday. He's extremely talented guard, 4th most pass block snaps for any guard this year. Of 51 guards with at least 500 pass block snaps, he was one of just 11 to allow 1 sack or fewer. For the Eagles, Byron Young out on the pass rush. We knew that. Now, Cam Jurgens is an issue. He was limited on Friday. He didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. If he can't go, Nick Gates will be replacing him. Gates has a 42 career starts. He has started a couple games in the playoffs. He did that for the 22 Giants. Dallas Goedert, ankle, good to go. Jalen Hurts, knee, not on the injury report. And most important, Quinion Mitchell, not on the injury report with the shoulder injury. We remember when he made contact with Matt Stafford, and they both left the game for a short period of time. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This has the Eagles 6-point favorites at a pick'em. This opened up at 4.5 and is now sitting at 6. The highest the juice has had at 6 is minus 107. Right now it's at minus 106. From a total standpoint here, a flat 47. I like seeing that. I'm on the under 48. We have a flat 47. Now, this bounced back up to 48 yesterday morning, and I was very concerned. But we're back at 47. That makes me feel good. Let's take a look at the cash flow here for this one. 67% of the tickets and 61% of the cash is on the Washington Commanders. Those numbers are dropping. 87% of the tickets and 69% of cash is on the over. This is a wheelhouse type situation for an under better. Public on the over, the line is dropping. We got Ricky Levine in the house. Ricky Levine says Jalen Hurts has been a home favorite of 7 or less 16 times in his career. He's 14-2 against the spread. We have action coming in from cappers in our chat, and I've got lots to add, but this show is about our guests. So let's hear from the man of the moment hitting leadoff for us, Ramon Scott, Commanders, Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And I got to keep it within the realm of what I'm doing publicly here with you on my props. I mean, these are definitely my favorite props going here, at least, to play a little with the game anyway. But we do, the confidence pool. I know I'm alive there in our confidence pool this week, but I just got to steer the course. There's actually about four guys that I think have a legitimate shot at catching Pete. I mean, obviously, Pete, he can't necessarily win out there. There's a little bit of game theory between those two guys, between him and I think Mikey Raw's got some of his numbers left as well. And also, I think B. Lee. Pete can't just, win out. I mean, so I'm hoping that those guys kind of go heads up there, and maybe I could just sneak in the back door. But let's talk about these props a little bit here with our game. So I'm going to stick with a couple of the favorites here. Look, you look at Barkley's numbers against Washington in his career; they're pretty insane. Granted, some of them, obviously, most of it with the Giants, but I'm going to roll with Barkley to get that workload and set the pace there for Philadelphia in this game. You got to go with your bread and butter and what works, it feels like, for me here. So he's going to be the first one that I ramp up with here with Philadelphia. Over 149 rushing yards in this one at plus 160. It's hard to ignore what he's been doing here, not only in the postseason, but late in the season as well. And looks like he certainly should be set up for a huge game here. So it might be chalky or whatever, but I just think the Eagles. I'm not as worried, I think, as maybe the public blowing the situation with Hurts a little bit out of proportion there. I was maybe giving the old Mickey Rivers limp a little bit there this week in practice. And yeah, if he's on the list, he's on the list. And maybe he does have a little bit of a dinged up injury there, but I'm going to think they have to get that workload with Barkley, set the trend there. Because look, it really hasn't been working out with Smith and Brown. Yeah, they've been getting there's a little bit, but I don't think they've been reaching their quotas certainly there. But when you got a guy like Barkley and the explosiveness that he has, it seems like when they start to wear the defense down a little bit is when he breaks off that big one. And hey, I'll need the big one here. I'll need the 40 or 50 yarder, it feels like, to kind of get this extra number, but I'm going to go over at 149.5 for Saquon at plus 160 in this one. And look, Washington, yes, they've been better in the secondary, it feels like, as far as their improved defense here as the season's gone along. So I do expect them to gash a little bit with that running game, and I'm going to take Barkley. Now, as far as you mentioning Goddard and his injury, his quote said, "I feel great." So I'm not too worried about it, especially what we saw not only last week, but a little bit towards the end of the season as well. A security blanket, it feels like, for Jalen Hurts, really, because he hasn't been able to kind of get the offensive production out of his receivers here. And he's just been using Goddard so much because when he starts to get out and he starts to move around, it's Goddard, the one that kind of falls into the open a little bit. So I'm actually going to go 2 plays on Goddard. Now, I've got Goddard, if anything, maybe to be the star of the weekend if he can get these numbers. They're not over the top numbers, but I think the payoff is what looked good for me. So I'll start with Goddard over 59.5 receiving yards at plus $2 in this one. Again, to me, he's been the one that seems to be getting the ball in the most clutch situations when they've needed that pass completion. I love Smith and Brown. They've cost me with, here on PubHub, and I think on one of our live streams towards the end of the season as well, because not because of the targets necessarily, but I think it's been inconsistent which guy out of the two has been the one that Hurts has gone to. And maybe that has to do with the coverage. Our guys can kind of elaborate on that maybe a little better than I can. So I just love what I've seen from Goddard. And I'm kind of, even though Barkley, that big number would make him a star, I've got Goddard here over 59.5 receiving yards and over 5.5 receptions at plus 250. So I'm not going to put them together or anything. I'm trying to get up the list legitimately here. I don't want to go with any, you say big bombs, but I think these are just legitimate props that can lift me in the standings a little bit too. I want to hit them, and I'll go over 5.5 receptions at plus 250. I did put in one play on the Commanders here, Jimmy, because I just love what I've seen from Eckler more so than from Robinson right now. Eckler looks to me like he is kind of in a more of a postseason mode. I think he has the experience over Robinson. I think that the Commanders have been looking for. And even though maybe we should see a little bit more from Eckler in the pass game there a little bit. I mean, his rushing number here that I'm going over will be 24.5 over plus 140. His rushing receiving number, I believe, was closer to in the low 40s, maybe mid 40s. And there have been some games where he hasn't maybe made the receptions there that maybe we've seen Brian Robinson kind of get a few targets here and there. There looks to be no consistency in that necessarily in my eyes, but it just seems like he is the change of pace back a little bit when they give him the ball and he gets through that first level and all of a sudden he's into the secondary a little bit. So I've got Eckler at over 24.5 rushing yards at plus 240. And those are going to be the 4 plays that I'm looking for here with my props with you this weekend. The other guys looking at, obviously, De'Ami Brown has been absolutely terrific, and his numbers do look a little bit low. I'm worried about are we in general overlooking? I mean, Washington's being given a big chance. They're still a touchdown dog for the most part, but I don't want to overlook what Philadelphia's defense has done to, put them in this position here as a pretty substantial favorite in a playoff game. I love Jaden Daniels. I love Washington as a team, but again, they've earned it. It's going to be tough enough for Philly to win and cover, but Brown definitely attracted my attention. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of De'Ami Brown from the guys moving forward. So I'll take those 4, Jimmy, to start the show off with everybody. Hi, everybody in the chat. Appreciate all you guys in there. So let's get rolling here, Jim.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. Barkley over 149.5 rush yards at plus 160. Goddard over 5.5 receptions at plus 250. Goddard over 59.5 receiving yards at plus 200. Eckler over 24.5 rushing yards at plus 140. Cappers in the chat talking, a lot of different things. They love the Barkley look. And also our guy Gravy saying, let's not forget about the trends the teams that won on Saturday in the divisional round making it to the Super Bowl. When we get into trends, and we'll get into them with other cappers here on the screen, the only trend really that helps the Commanders is that trend. Teams with a rest advantage of 26 and 16 straight up in the conference final, because I have trend after trend after trend after trend that is very bad here for the Commanders, and we'll get into those throughout the show. Let's roll on to the AFC Championship game here. I am on the 1s and 2s, so let me know if I miss up with the graphics. Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs 8-0 at home. Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. 29 Fahrenheit clear, 3 mile per hour winds. The stats with the Chiefs, they never cease to blow your mind. Here we have a Chiefs team that hasn't turned the ball over in 8 straight games. Unbelievable. And I have just a litany of stats here for this game that we will be delivering throughout this show. Again, the show is about my guests and not about my stats. Let's roll into this total here, 48. It is a 48. It is climbing. Now, it opened at 48, heavily juiced to the over. I thought we were moving towards the under. I got in at under 48 at minus 112. I was hoping that would be a great line. Right now, that under 48 is minus 101. Still, from the opening line, we've dropped 5 cents from the opener, 5 cents towards the under. On the spread right now, the Chiefs are -2 at most books. I'm looking at a -1.5 at -111. If you want the Bills at +1.5, it's -102. So that means there's been a 10-cent move towards the Chiefs at that number. But we should also talk about the money line here in this one. Again, I'm only going to set up these games for Ramon. Every other capper will just roll through. On the money line, the Chiefs right now are -127. They opened up at -118. So we've had 9 cents of movement towards the Kansas City Chiefs. When we get to the cash flow in this spot, we have on the spread 79% of the tickets and 83% of cash on the Buffalo Bills. On the money line, it's just 44% and 49%. And on the total, 80% of tickets and 85% of the cash is on the over. A shout out to all the cappers joining us here in the chat. We got Dabby Cab in the house, a spectacular show starting off the day, the starting 5. Great job from Dabby Cab. We also have Nunya, our winner of the NFL Cappers contest. He was spectacular. The highest record, the best record we've ever had in 3 years of Cappers contests. He narrowly beat out last year's co-champions, Guillermo Sertucci and Sharpie, and then just barely also beat out our guy, Peter Loshak, from the first season. So here we go, Ramon. Injury-wise, Taylor Rapp, their safety, is out. It is a big loss. And now Christian Benford is quite questionable. Now, Cam Lewis is slated to replace Rapp. But Benford did not practice on Friday. He was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. He played 98% of the snaps last week. This could be an enormous loss. Now, Lewis made 6 starts during the regular season, 68 tackles, had an interception. It's Khair Elam who will replace Benford. Now, Elam was a 2022 first-round pick. He just hasn't had the kind of season that we expected. So they have some very good backups. Take it away for us, Ramon. Bills, Chiefs, Arrowhead Stadium.
I love what you said about Nunya, and ever since we've been seeing him more and more on the air, I just have a feeling no one's looking at me anymore. Nobody's looking at anybody else but Nunya on the street. He's so a special kind of charisma. I guess that's how I would put it, Jimmy. So it's been awesome sharing the screen with him of late. I mean, we got a budding star, and no, we already know we've had him around for years, it seems like, but he's really growing big time. Love you, man. Yeah, Jim. Look, as far as the Chiefs, right? We thought about all those games. I'm going to just cover a little bit on the side here with you, since you're talking about. I got the props loaded up, but the Chiefs in that whole string of games where they couldn't cover, right? But remember, almost all those games were kind of going under too, right? For the last year and a half, it seems like it's hard to cover near double digits every time you have such a good defensive that, the game's going under, right? I mean, you can't win, every game, 27 to 10 or 27 to 14 or something. So just been tough when they were favored by so many games. I know that people aren't going to overlook that when you're talking about a game here that's basically near a pick 'em. I guess you just want to pick a winner, but don't let that spread record that the Chiefs had through that whole term where they failed to cover in 8, 9, whatever it was in a row. I don't think anybody should really be swayed by that. Not that they would. I just wanted to comment because they had that big string of unders too. It's just tough to get those numbers. So saw some talk in the chat there about my hot prop with Hollywood Brown. Let me cover that in a second. I'm going to go kind of backwards here and start with Buffalo here because Khalil Shakir for the Bills, right? If you look at the plethora or the full complement of receivers that Josh Allen has, it's nice to have so many guys that he can go to, but it does seem like now Shakir is getting more than his share of the workload in targets here, and that's the way I think he needs to go in this game, certainly, is with Shakir. We know that he's got his strong running game with Cook, and he's got, good receivers on that team. And again, once they got rid of troublesome Diggs, it all kind of start to work out. They kind of gelled a little bit, and maybe that's the way the Bills need it to be, where he can have different stars, and especially with his 2 tight ends that can be so good. But Shakir does seem to be getting an abnormal amount, at least for this team, number of targets right now. So I'm going to start with Shakir over 6.5 receptions at plus 180. I do want to give the Bills some love in this game. I know it's going to be an awesome game, and he has been standing out. So give me 6.5 receptions for Shakir at plus 180. Now, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, I scored big with you with Kelsey late in the postseason, late in the season here with Travis Kelsey. And his yardage numbers to me in this game. Now, it does seem like when he gets those that yardage prop, he's always able to bust one off. It's not a cumulative look. Against this game, it might be a little bit tough. So I'm actually taking his receptions in this game at over 7.5 at plus 150. The yardage number was a little bit high for me, but again, for me, when it comes to the postseason and this incredible streak that Kelsey's on right now, Jim, 15 in a row now, is it, where he's had that massive game here in the postseason, just incredible. So yes, he's getting a little older now, and yeah, I made a joke about his off the field distractions. It seems like a great situation, and if anything, he's only gotten better as the season's gotten longer here right now. So if they're going to do it here, Kansas City, there's got to be some Kelsey, and I'll take him over 7.5 receptions at plus 150 here in this one. I'll ramp up on him. And now, love what Hollywood Brown is doing right now. He's almost become kind of one of the unsung stories of the postseason, of the season here late in the season, with his dynamic emergence for Mahomes right now. Yeah, he's got other talented offensive guys, but this is what we've seen from Brown. Remember, he's had some playoff success. Remember, it's been a while now, but he really gets a chance here, it feels like, in this game against Buffalo here. We know that Buffalo is physical, but yet they do have some limitations, I think everyone has kind of said, defensively here. And the way that Brown has just kind of stood out. The other thing about Brown, Jim, that gives him the chance to get this alternative yardage at 69.5 plus 415 is obviously his breakaway speed. If he just gets one bust out, that's all he's really going to need, as long as he has a modest game here. So that's going to be my big target here in this one. I wanted to keep it conservative, but yet shoot for the stars with these guys that have had such an incredible season with you here on the Pub Hub. I found myself within striking distance on the show, and no need to put some bombs out there, real bombs that make it look like you're just shooting for the win. I want to hit these. If they hit them, if they hit all their plays, great. I want everybody to succeed here. But you've been so nice to have us here on the show this year, so I want to give it my best shot to knock off these guys that have had such a great year. And I think Hollywood Brown is the man to do it, right? I mean, he's the people's champ out there, I think, a little bit, right? Undersized. We know he's gone through in his career a little bit. And if anything, it's funny. He could go on to have another great season or two, or this could be it for Hollywood. But we don't know necessarily. He's a multi-million-dollar real estate guy now too, so who knows where he'll go in his career. But right now his speed looks insane. Just get the ball to him and let him go. And I love Hollywood Brown here at 69.5 plus 415, and I'll probably do even a little bit more with him here. And let's have a great Sunday of championship games this week. Shout out everybody in the chat, and to you, Jimmy. And yeah, I'm going to give it a go there in the confidence pool as well. I think there are 4 guys that have legitimate shots to win. I think it's Pete. I think it's me. And like I said, I think the other 2, yeah, there could be some things working out, but you got to have those numbers left. So for me, it's Pete, myself, Mikey Raw, and I believe B. Lee as the legitimate contenders in the confidence pool. I could be wrong. I didn't analyze it too heavily because I'm just going to stick with my picks. I'm not going with any gamesmanship on it. And as public handicappers, I'm kind of forced to go with what I'm giving out publicly. I'm never going to go the other way just to win the thing. I got to stick to what I'm telling people on these shows and everything too. So if they go a little gamesmanship, especially B. Lee and Pete, then I can get in there. I think that's what I need to do to get the win. It'd be cool to cash in the contest, but we want to win like Nunya and be a champion at PSR. So I'll let the chips fall where they may, but I'm keeping an eye on that contest. You better believe it.
As am I, my friend. Excellent work from our guy. Shakir over 6.5 receptions plus 180. Kelsey over 7.5 receptions at plus 150. Brown over 69.5 receptions at plus 415. And in game one, we have Eckler over 24.5 rushing yards plus 140. Goddard over 59.5 receiving yards at plus 200. Goddard over 5.5 receptions at plus 250. And Barkley over 149.5 rush yards at plus 160. Ramon Scott, thank you so much for your time and energy. The Star of the Morning Steam show on the Sports Money YouTube channel, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. Ramon, my man, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, no disrespect to any, because I'm just saying those four that I mentioned in that contest, obviously, if we lose the games, it's anybody's game up there on those other ones, too. I'm just saying if form holds and we all pick our winners, that's what I'm saying. If you win out, you win. So anybody can win it there near the top. But appreciate it all season long and enjoy the games tomorrow. And we'll see what we got in the Super Bowl. I did see that if the Commanders get in there, they're going to be about 4.5 point dogs to either of the opponents. And if it's the Eagles, it's going to be about a 1.5 point spread. So we're going to have a great bowl as well. So thanks, Jim.
Oh, much love, my man. There he is, Mr. Ramon Scott, hitting leadoff for us. Let's welcome our next guest. What a performance he delivered last week. Shot right into second overall in our league-long contest. He went 5-1 plus 7.9 units. He's now 10-5 plus 8.55 units. The star of Every Stride YouTube channel, our friend Keith in the house. Keith, how are you, my man?
What's up, Jimmy? I really appreciate that intro there. Thank you so much for having me back here on NFL Pub Hub, here on Pub Sports Radio. So yeah, running hot. I'm going to, keep it going here. I got some nice 2 plays on each game. I'd love to talk to you guys about. And shout out to everybody in the chat too, putting your plays in.
Let's get right to work, Keith, my friend. We start with the NFC Championship, Commanders, Eagles, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Yeah, I was up late even looking at some trends on this one. It's cool to see this divisional matchup, right, in the conference finals. So you don't usually get that treat. Commanders, right, they've had no problem putting up points at all. They're dropped 45 on the Lions. So that was I was talking about it on last week's episode here on NFL Pub Hub. That was the highest point over under 55.5. So no problem for Washington to really put up points. It's going to be a little different here. I mean, the Eagles are the second best against quarterbacks, passing yards. So only second best actually in the league holding those quarterbacks to the passing yards, and only giving up an average of 200 in the air. But I've really liked what Jaden Daniels has done. I mentioned it to you last week, Jimmy, very composed, for a rookie to win back-to-back on the road in the playoffs. His quarterback rating, I don't usually look at quarterback ratings, but it jumped up to 91. So kind of like a horse, right? Kind of, trending in the right direction at the right time. Hasn't turned over the ball, no interceptions. And I really liked Washington's running attack last week, spread out too. So it was Brian Robinson, 77 yards. Daniels himself had 51 rushing yards. And Ramon was just talking about Eckler, kind of a player, he's 29 years old, but don't forget, this guy was a Pro Bowler with the Chargers. He had 47 rushing yards. So I like how they spread it around there. They're going to need to against this Philly defense. Something I found that was really interesting. You were just talking about these trends. I got a couple for you, Jimmy, is that, the last 27 NFL playoff games matching divisional opponents. So that's what we have here with the Commanders and the Eagles. Home teams are 15-12. So I'll give them that. But they failed to cover the spread, though, only 10-17. So 37% when these divisional foes meet up in the conference championship. So I like it. I like Washington in this spot to cover. I got it at +6 at minus 105. Now, listen, you've seen the trends of the rookie quarterback, in the conference finals. I saw all those ones, but it looks like Jalen Hurts has been upgraded. Barkley, I think, is practicing. But I think Washington is the team that's kind of covering and doing it at the right time. I think they're trending in the right direction. And Washington themselves, they do well covering. They actually cover 68% of the time coming off a straight up win. So just off of a win since 2019, they cover the next game 68% of the time. So I know we're in the playoffs, but I like where Washington's trending. And I have that at a +6 to cover. Washington Commanders minus 105. And I got one more player prop. I didn't think I was going to go in this direction, Jimmy, but I actually like the kicker on the Commanders, Zane Gonzalez, to get over his kicking points. So I got over 6.5 kicking points at +100. So this is my player prop. Now, listen, they didn't really need him with the Lions last week because they moved the ball down the field at will. But 2 weeks ago versus Tampa, he hit three field goals. So that was something that they're going to need him. I think that Washington's going to opt to put up points if they get up, in the first half, get down the field. And I know this guy only hit 71% of kicks during the season, but I like that over 6.5 for him kicking points. Zane Gonzalez +100.
Zane Gonzalez +100 over 6.5 kicking points. And the Washington Commanders, 7 straight wins for the Commanders. 15 different teams have entered the conference championship on a 7+ game straight up winning streak. Those teams are 4-11 against the spread in the conference championship. This team was 150-1 to win the Super Bowl preseason. Only 3 teams that were 151 have made the conference finals. The 1999 Rams won the Super Bowl. 2021 Bengals lost the Super Bowl, and the 1979 Bucks lost in the NFC final. This trends that rocked me here, it will be this 4th straight road game. I mean, it's so difficult. So you talked about the Jaden Daniels, he'll be the 6th rookie quarterback to start a conference championship game. The previous 5 are 0-5 straight up, 4 passing touchdowns and 9 interceptions. I can understand you looking past that, right? Jaden Daniels is playing phenomenally. You talked about his quarterback rating going up and up and up. These were the trends that stopped me in my tracks, right, and told me not to middle here. So the Commanders' 8th team since 2000 entered a playoff game on the 4th game or later of a road trip. I mean, that's so hard. I mean, on the road, and you're going up against the Eagles team that's playing their 5th straight home game.
Right.
So those teams are 0-7 straight up, 1-5-1 the road teams against the spread. And then we have the Commanders, the 6th seed. Since 1990, there have been 4 6th seeds entering the conference finals as Dogs have 4 more points. Those teams are 0-4 against the spread. And then you have Hurts, who's such a monster. Jalen Hurts never lost at home in the playoffs, 4-0, 3-1 against the spread. And I believe in this team. And back to the road home dichotomy, the Eagles are the 10th team to play 4 more consecutive home games entering conference championship for the last 20 years, 7-2 straight up, but just 5-4 against the spread. Our guy Keith is rolling on our show. He joined us week 17, 5-4 plus 0.65 units. The divisional round, 5-1 plus 7.9 units. Washington plus 6. Gonzalez over 6.5 kicking points. We move on to Bills Chiefs, my friend. Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Can't wait to hear your breakdown. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game I've always been looking for. I mean, I've been reading, doing a lot of reading on articles online about it, just see where all these teams are heading. Now, I know it's Josh Allen versus Mahomes, right? So it's the matchup here. Bills, they just outslugged Baltimore. I mean, but, I always see this thing is that the Bills are 0-3, straight up and against the spread against Kansas City in the playoffs. So that's the history right there. 0-3 Buffalo is against Kansas City. Playoff matchups that have the number 1 and number 2 seed, they often do well with the over. Now, I know I've seen a lot of things with the under. I think you're actually on the under too, Jimmy, in this one, right? You got 48. Yeah. So I'm actually trending towards the over in this one. Now, I did a little research. I got number 1 and number 2 seeds. So that's what we have here for Kansas City and the Bills. They actually in conference championships, when these teams link up, they go 13-5 to the over. So that's pretty good percentage right there, 72%. I think Kansas City, we even saw their offense do better than I thought, actually, off of that layoff since Christmas. I think they could even put up even more rust off of that offense for Kansas City, second game since Christmas for these starters. And then we've seen Buffalo's offense put up some major points. And on the other side of the ball, Buffalo, actually, you've seen it, they struggle defensively at times too. Kansas City's defense has definitely improved the last couple of years. So for me, I'm on the over on this one. I got it right here. Let's take a look. I got it at got the over on this one, over 48.5 minus 106. So I got that yesterday, over 48.5 minus 106 for Buffalo at Kansas City. I like that over there. And I got the player prop. Going back to the well, Jimmy, on this one, I really think it's good. I like Kansas City, as I talked about last week. They really struggle against these tight ends. So I cashed on Schultz on the Texans, cashed me last week. So I'm going back to the well with this one. I like Dalton Kincaid over 30.5 receiving yards at minus 110. Now, I got a great number because I've seen a lot of 32.5s on Kincaid. But I got 30.5. I bet it earlier in the week, just knowing this trend. And I got it at minus 110. I'm just going back to this Kansas City. They give up, I guess it's just how they, the defensive schemes. They just don't want to, they're willing to maybe give up some yardage to these tight ends. So I think Kincaid fits that really well. You could see Josh Allen scramble and really find him open. So I like Kincaid on his over yards there also.
You are locked in, my friend, locked in. We do have options for you on the total. You can have the over 48.5 minus 104 or the over 48 at minus 114.
Ooh, you know what? I'll take that minus 114 over 48. Jimmy, you're offering it to me? I'll take that one.
You've got it over 48 at minus 114. I can completely understand. I'm very nervous. I love my under in the Commanders-Eagles game. I'm very uncomfortable now with this total here. I do think, though, if you're backing the Chiefs, that you like the under. If you're backing the Bills, you like the over. And so I'm pretty comfortable with the spot because it's in line with the Chiefs, but I can completely understand your angles behind the over in this one. Here we go. We have our guy Keith on Washington +6 and Zane Gonzalez over 6.5 kicking points in the first game. What a revelation you have been here for our program. 10-5 plus 8.55 units. And all of a sudden you find yourself just 3.23 units out of first place overall in season 4 of NFL Pub Hub. Thank you so much. Please support our friend Keith. He has his Every Stride YouTube channel. I'm a subscriber. Please go and subscribe to it. Great horse racing analysis, and you've seen what he can do in other sports as well. Just a monster capper. Keith, thank you so much for your time and energy, my friend. Any last words for the capper supporting the show?
No, I really appreciate your kind words. I mean, Jimmy even, he messaged me saying, just a great week, and just keep it hot as a capper, right? So I appreciate everybody's support. And yeah, I really like these plays I put out. We got the big Pegasus day today. So I'm going to be capping some horses here even more soon. So yeah, give me a follow at Every Stride and give me a subscribe, and Every Stride on YouTube. Appreciate you guys here on Pub Sports Radio on NFL Pub Hub. I'll be back. Let's go.
Get that cash today in the Pegasus at Gulfstream, my man. There he is, Keith, Every Stride. We move on to our next guest. He last joined us in the wild card round, went 3-1 plus 2.08 units. Right now, he's 7-5 plus 1.87 units, but 2 of those losses were on football teams that were underdogs, that were big underdogs, that covered the spread, and he also took them on the money line. For a big score. He has been very impressive here through 3 weeks. He joined us week 4, week 10, and for the wild card week. Please welcome the star of the Earl Sports Brothers YouTube channel, our friend, Mr. Nicholas Earl. Nick, how are you, my man?
Doing good. Conference champion championship game tomorrow.
Big weekend ahead. Take it away here for us. Commanders, Eagles, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah. This is one where I wanted to be on the Commanders. The first thought was like, yeah, they're a fun little story here and all that. And then I looked at the way this line's moved. I look at the market we got here. I saw the book that I look at. It opened up at a 5, and now we're seeing -6. Even though 67% of the tickets, 60% of the cash is on the Commanders in this game. So a little bit of a public dog, the Commanders, and we'll talk about the same thing with the Bills next game as well, with the line moving against them. Immediately put my attention towards Philly. And then you see all the other stats as well. No rookie quarterback has made the Super Bowl. And we've seen like they've been dogs every single week of the playoffs so far, the Commanders. I think this is this is the time where the Commanders get humbled a little bit after a few good wins. I got the Eagles at -6 at -110 in this game. Just a little bit of a fade the public dog type of thing and things along those lines.
I can completely understand the thought process analysis behind this. Eagles -6. I'm going to line chop for you for the lowest available juice. Anything else that you're adding to our first game on Sunday?
Nope. I just got 2 sides today, and that's it.
All right, so we have the Eagles -6 here. Again, the lowest VIG I can find right now is a -106. So we'll give you that there. Eagles at -6 at -106 for Nicholas Earl, which rolls us to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri for the next one. Take it away, your plan of action.
Yeah, another one we were kind of mentioning. I was mentioning last game with all of the public dogs. 79% of tickets, 83% of the cash is on the Bills. Yet this line's gone from a pick 'em to a 1.5, and we're seeing 2s now. So market showing no respect towards the Bills, and I believe we can all see this now. It's a close game late. The Chiefs get some type of call. They get into field goal range. They kick a game-winning field goal, and they go to the Super Bowl. It happens every single game. It's the same script every single time for the Chiefs. And until further notice, I don't know how you can really bet against this Chiefs team in the playoffs. I'm on Kansas City here. I got -125 yesterday when I end up getting around to betting this game. This is another spot where I feel like I'm on an island because I've seen so much love for the Bills. This is finally the time the Bills get over the hump. I have to see it to believe it first. I'm going to take the Chiefs here on the money line in this game.
Chiefs -127, and I am on them as well, much to the chagrin of my co-host Troy Torrance, who is bullish that the unicorn magical fairy dust that the Chiefs have been sprinkling over their opponents each and every game will come to an end. 20 straight playoff wins for Mahomes since he lost to Brady in the 2019 playoffs. 16-3 overall in the postseason. I was sent a wildly interesting message, and I want to share it with you. It was such a cool message, and I never even thought of it at all until it was sent to me. This is comparing 1991 Michael Jordan versus 2024 Josh Allen, both entering their conference finals. It was each the 7th season for these two stars. They had each won 0 titles. The Jordan's opponent was the Pistons. Allen's opponent is the Chiefs. Jordan was 0-3 versus the Pistons. Allen is 0-3 versus the Chiefs. And the Pistons and the Chiefs were each seeking a three-peat. Now, it may be a bit of a stretch, but it was a wildly interesting message that I was sent. I am right with you here on this one. Another interesting part of this, there's so many spots. The interest part is for Mahomes. We talked about the rest advantage because the Commanders have the rest advantage. It feels like every single time there's like, oh, who's got an advantage here? It's always the Chiefs. So we talked about 26-16 straight up since 03-04 teams with the rest advantage. If you're at home, it's a 20-7 spot. As a favorite of 3 points or less, including all games as an underdog, Mahomes is 27-9-1 against the spread. It's going to be a wildly fascinating day tomorrow, Nicholas, my friend. Nicholas has locked in. We have the Eagles -6 at -106. We have the Chiefs money line at -127 for Nicholas Earl. Thank you so much for making time for us, my man. Tell us what's going on the Earl Sports Brothers YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're still live every single morning, anywhere between 10 and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Earl Sports Bet Show. I think my brother and I were talking in a couple of weeks. We're going to be looking at MLB futures. We're going to be doing, I think, division by division. So I'm very excited about baseball getting started again there. And we're going to continue on just doing shows every single day.
I love it. Nicholas, thank you so much for your time and energy and angles. Go get that cash, my friend. Please support the Earl Brothers Sports Network. Go get that cash, Nick, my man. And thank you for rocking with us. There he is, our guy, Mr. Nicholas Earl. All right, we roll into our next guest. We go from Nick to our leader. Last year, second overall. This year, first overall. This guy just continues to deliver week in and week out. 48 wins, 34 losses, plus 11.78 units, and he's coming off of a rough day for him. The last time he had a rough day on our show was week 16. He went 1-4 minus 3.46 units. Well, he came back in week 17 and went 5-1 plus 4.03 units. He's coming off a tough divisional finals form, and he's champing at the bit to rock with us here on this giant conference final show. Please welcome the star of the Brothers and Bets YouTube channel. We're having some screen issues with you. Do you want to turn? Do you got more lights? We got some more lights. Let's get some added lights here. We're having some. We're going to get this fixed here shortly. Let's review action while we're getting Marley perfectly set up here. I am on unders 48 in both games, both at -112. One line's gone with me, one line's gone against me. I'm on the Chiefs money line, and I have the Eagles to win the NFC at +600. That was posted and bet on October 30th. We've had Ramon rock with us. We've had Keith each and every stride. We've had Nicholas Earl, and now it is time for our number one ranked capper on this show in his career. Also, our number one ranked capper on the show. Please welcome the star of Brothers and Bets, our man from Houston, Texas, Marley in the house. Marley, what's good, man? How are you?
Yo, what's going down, Jimmy? H-Time, free my bro. What up, Marley, what up?
I'm excited. We are all excited to hear your plan of attack. These are two monstrous football games, and
let's get it.
They've heard from me. They want to hear from you. NFC Championship game, Washington Commanders at Philadelphia Eagles. The floor is yours, my friend. How you getting paid?
Yeah, man. Early when the line first came out, man, I would have told you I was on the Commanders plus the 6. But the more I looked into the game, in particularly the last two games these two teams played each other, I found myself I have to be on Philly. Minus the 6 show purposes. I think if we hold out till Sunday, we can get a 5, maybe 5.5, because I think money's going to pour in on Washington. Plus the 6 heavy public favorite. The reason though, it simply comes down for me why I'm on Philly is that Washington's terrible against the run. They can't stop the run. Both games Saquon had over like $150. 2 touchdowns. So what makes me think, and they've been terrible against the run all season, but what makes me think they're gonna stop the run tomorrow in Philly? In the last game, yes, Washington won the game. I think I was on Washington, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. But anyway, Washington won the last game, true enough. But that game was 27-13, I think. 27-14. They were down like 13 points going into the fourth quarter. They scored a touchdown with like 9 seconds left. And we got to remember, Kenny Pickett came into that game and finished that game off. They scored 2 late field goals. If they convert one of those field goals to a touchdown, that game's over. So you got to bank on, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts getting knocked out of the game. And, that could happen. He has a knee injury, so it's possible. But for me, Jimmy, if you can't stop the run, that's kind of one of the things I can't bank on your defense from stopping the opposing team, because not being able to stop the run just opens up so much for the defense. And it's not like, yeah, Jalen Hurts, maybe he's not the best passer of the ball, but he doesn't have to be like super accurate because everybody's going to be up in the box. He's going to get man coverage a lot. He has two good receivers, if you don't want to say great, whatever. AJ Brown's, I think he's a top 10 receiver in the league. He just doesn't have the quarterback to necessarily show for it. If you can't stop the run, it's just tough to stop the bleeding. And you're going up against the best running back in the NFL, top 3, maybe, if you don't agree with number 1 running backs in the NFL. So if you can't stop the run, for me, it's just like, if you can't stop the fucking run, hard for me to bet on you. And that last game that we're talking about, that was in Washington. This game is in Philly, and they were down double digits. Love Jalen Daniels, great season. And another thing is that their run game is dependent upon him, so they're not necessarily controlling the run. Yeah, they put up 45 points, but we know what's going on in Detroit defensively. Injuries all over the place. They were unstoppable. I don't think they're going to be that unstoppable against Philly defense. Jalen Carter has been wrecking shit the last couple of games here for Philly, so that's a lot to deal with up front. How many of those hits he's going to be able to take, I don't know. And you know what else I don't like? I normally like teams talking a little bit, barking a little bit. For some reason, I don't like that Washington was saying how they're going to knock Hurts out of the game or how they're going to hit Hurts. For some reason, I just feel like that's too much bulletin board material. That's go fire, especially when you have a quarterback that tries to run as well. So I feel like that necessarily might not be the smartest move, but at the end of the day, the Eagles' defense is much better than Washington's defense. I think they'll get enough stops where Washington, I just don't think they'll be able to do enough offensively. And another thing is, Philly has the chance to keep that Washington offense on the sideline. They kill in possession. They're just going to run the ball. And if you can't stop the run, it's tough. I think the fairy dust might be done. Great season for Jalen Hurts. Love what he's been able to do, but I think the defense is going to let him down this week.
The Sam Cosmi injury is enormous. I mean, it's absolutely enormous when you're trying to stop Jalen Carter. It's absolutely enormous. Everything you brought up, I'm right with. The only concern now, this is going to be a concern against teams that have the ability to slow down the run.
Right.
The worst stat for Jalen Hurts is obviously he's thrown for 259 yards through 2 games. And only 3 teams in NFL history have ever won consecutive playoff games throwing for under 150 each. They all lost their next game.
Yeah. Can Washington – all right, so this will be the thing. Can Washington, stuff the box and stop the run and make him throw the ball? But then you give one-on-one outside opportunities to A.J. Brown. I feel like A.J. Brown is the kind of guy where, just throw it up in his vicinity. He'll go get it. It doesn't have to be a perfect pass. Now, if you're going to bank on Lattimore locking up A.J. Brown, but then I say, all right, well, Mike Evans torched Lattimore in the first half, at least in that Bucks game. I think Mike Evans is not – I don't want to say he's done, but he's on the downhill of his prime, where I think A.J. Brown is still – A.J. Brown reminds me of like a T.O. guy. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. I don't think Lattimore can stop A.J. Brown. I mean, but for me personally, I just don't think they're going to be able to make them throw the ball because they have to stop the run. They're not good at stopping the run. So can you make them throw the ball? I don't think they can. I don't think they can make them throw it enough.
I agree. I'm right with you. Eagles -6 and -106 available right now for Marley, our leader this year in NFL Pub-Up, 2nd overall last year in NFL Pub-Up. Marley, we move on to Bills Chiefs, Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Going to be cold, 29 Fahrenheit, but no wind and clear weather. Take it away. Can't wait to hear this breakdown.
Yeah, man. I'll keep it simple, Jimmy. This is easy. I didn't think about it. I think the Washington Redskins game was more of a tussle than this game. This game's easy to me. I'm on the Chiefs. What are we talking about? And let's talk about the Bills, Jimmy. At various points of that Bills-Ravens game, me personally, I felt like the Ravens were the way better team, Jimmy. Wasn't even close. At points of that game, the Ravens offense did whatever they wanted to do against the Bills. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to turn the ball over the way the Bills did. The way the Ravens did, excuse me. That fumble, I think that fumble was a lot, played more of a pivotal role than the 2-point conversion. Yeah, the 2-point conversion would have tied it up. Maybe the Ravens win, maybe they don't. Still, Josh Allen still had a minute and some change left to go.
Just to back you up here on this, and we haven't spoken about this on the show yet. The Ravens averaged 7.3 yards per play compared to the Bills' 4.6. The Ravens went 8 for 11, so they went 7 of 10 on third down and 1 for 1 on fourth down.
Yeah,
and somehow, you mentioned the turnover battle.
Turnovers
is the reason why. And I'm if the Ravens had got through Buffalo, I expect I would be on them here.
I would too. I think the team that can beat the Chiefs is at home. Unfortunately,
I think the team that might be able to beat the Chiefs is going to be taking out the Commanders in the morning game.
Chiefs. I don't know. I have to look into that. That's tough. I don't think they can. We'll talk.
I didn't mean to misdirect you there.
No, we're good. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next week if that's the matchup. But yeah, and for me, like I was saying, the fumble. It's 2 calls we're gonna talk about in that game. Everybody's talking about the 2-point conversion. For me, that fumble was costly because they were gonna go score and take the lead versus the 2-point conversion was just gonna tie the game. Costly, very costly. And another play we don't talk about, in my opinion, was the pass interference on third down that they called against Coleman when it was clearly offensive pass interference. He pushed him down in the goal line. It was 3rd and 7 or something like that, 3rd and 8. And instead of it settling for a field goal, they go get a Josh Allen touchdown. Huge, in my opinion. And it should have been offensive pass interference. Who was on the broadcast? Troy Aikman. They were saying the same thing. It was a terrible call. It was in the red zone. And I just think Baltimore, in my opinion, I hate saying this, Baltimore lost the game. I mean, I know the Bills won. I hate saying that. But my thing is, the reason I bring up those penalties is they're not going to get those calls against Kansas City. If anybody's going to get calls against Kansas City, it's Kansas City's going to get the calls. According to the script and what everybody else says, they want Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. I don't buy into it, but that's what everybody says. And I'm a Texan fan. We got some very questionable calls go against us, but the Bills aren't getting those calls. And even beyond that, like I said, that defense is not going to stop the Chiefs. And even if they do, the Chiefs are not going to turn the ball over 3 times. The turnovers were the story. Chiefs haven't turned the ball over in like 8 straight games. They're not going to get the turnovers that they forced, unfortunately, or fortunately for the Chiefs, that the Bills did. And we saw how the Ravens dominated that defense. So I think we'll get more of that. I know they played each other and the Bills took that game. That game was in Kansas City. And that game was in Buffalo, and Kansas City had a lot of receivers and people that were banged up. They're going to get a different Kansas City. And I heard the little stats, the Jordan comparison that you did earlier. The problem is Mahomes is the Jordan. Josh Allen isn't Jordan. And
there, I hear what you're saying, but you have to give some legitimacy to that. That is, they were saying the same shit about Jordan. Jordan couldn't win. Jordan couldn't beat the big bad. Look, I'm on the Chiefs, but I think that is a really fun stat. And shout out to Dan Kelly for sending it to me. It's a really fun stat.
Yeah, I like it. It's very, very fun stat. I just think Mahomes is this may be our version of Brady Manning, and unfortunately for Josh Allen, he might be the man. He's the Manning in this situation, and this is not the one he's going to get. Maybe he'll get one later, but defense is going to let him down this game. He's not going to get the stops, and they're not going to go out there and score 30 against this Chiefs defense. If he goes out there and scores 30, he probably, maybe he has a chance, but I don't think they go score 30. I think this game falls under the 47.5 as well. So last 10 games, the Chiefs only went over this total once.
I'm with you, but are you going to make it official to give me confidence? Or are you going to keep?
Yeah, let's go. I'm on it. I think I like it. I liked it better at 48, but
No, it's at 48 and a half.
You got 48 and a half.
This is 48 and a half market wide in Buffalo, Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right. 48.
Have been crushing me lately, but I do love this. Like I said, over the last 10 games, the Chiefs have only went over this total once. And
the under. So I don't know. So my apologies to Keith. I gave him the offer at the 104, the 114, but I can find the under 48 and a half at minus 108. So we'll give you that one under 48 and a half. Under 48 and a half at minus 108. And I'll give Keith that same number, the under 48 and a half at minus 108.
What's the temperature we got in Kansas City? What's the temperature we got?
29 Fahrenheit. This was checked just before the show again to double check. 3 miles per hour winds clear.
Buffalo can play in the cold anyway. That's not going to matter.
Yeah. My man Marley has spoken. Number 1 overall here on our show. He has given us the Eagles -6 at minus 106, the Chiefs money line minus 127, and the under 48 and a half at minus 108. Marley, you've been simply spectacular all year long. Thank you for all your hard work and insights. Please support our guy Marley_bets on X. And Marley, tell us about what's going on in the Brothers and Bets YouTube channel.
For sure, man. We got me and Coach was just talking. We got the college coming up here, and me and LJ, man, we got one more show. We're gonna do it in the morning because he had some things going on yesterday. So LJ on Fridays about 6-7 o'clock, and then coming up on Tuesdays with me and Coach will break down the NCAA.
I love it. And you guys together have been so crucial to this show. Marley first overall at the 36, 48, 34 plus 11.78 units. His co-host in the Raw Words podcast, LJ, 70 and 61 plus 8.37 units. You guys have been monsters. Thank you so much for your time, Marley, my man. Hope the Cobras go get him. Of course, Marley, the coach of the Youth Football League in Texas, the Cobras, Jalen Petrie's old team. Continue leading by example. I wish, more Marleys in this world would be a better place. Thank you for all that you do for us, my man. Any last words for the Capper Sporting Show?
Man, y'all already know what it is. Let's beat Vegas.
There he is. Marley Bets in the house. We go from Houston and we head south. We head south to Costa Rica. Our next guest, a phenomenal capper, a phenomenal athlete. This man was a star in the Premier League for years, now starring in capping circles. You can find him at BetUS, and you can also find him right here on NFL Pub Hub. Please welcome from Escazú, Costa Rica, our friend Flash. Flash, what's good, man? How are you?
Happy days, happy days. The job's done, James. First of all, have you hedged at all with the Eagles?
I've not hedged at all. I've not middled. I've done nothing. Have you?
Yeah, I have. I just took the straight plus 200, plus 210 with the Commanders. After what I saw last week, obviously we can say about the conditions and everything, but I didn't want the ball in Stafford's hands with Nakua and Cup driving to kill my whole season. It's amazing. It's amazing that I was not sweating at all until the last 1 minute, 45 seconds, thinking, how are the gods potentially going to do me? And then you go into this game, I can wipe all emotion out, take plus 310, 315. Either way, I've gone straight down the middle. Don't care who wins, but if I've got a lot of friends that are on the Eagles, then I want the Eagles. I must say straight away, though, they're contrasting styles, both of these two sides. We know them well. Obviously, they're in the same division. I thought that the line would be 3.5, 4. I think it's a little bit too much to 6, just because of the weapons that the Commanders have late on in the game. I mean, you're going to have to be up 14, maybe 15 points to cover, because the Commanders have the ability to get maybe a garbage touchdown and then go for 2. So 15 takes it back to 7 or 14. It's going to be right down to the wire. I'm really nervous, but I do want to be with the Eagles early on. Run. Do the Commanders, in my eyes, do they fill the box? I thought they did a really good job last week against the Lions in obviously Gibbs, who'd been running through absolutely everybody. So then it brings in maybe Devontae Smith. I do like Devontae Smith to maybe pick up a few holes here, sit down, and not be so much Barkley. I do agree in the chat with Slats that over 23.5 yards, longest Barkley rush is the way to go. But I'm going to go with the Eagles to be leading at half-time. I picked up a little bit of a free this morning, James. I know that the line was between 3.5 and 4, but now I've picked up the Eagles. I think the Eagles go into half-time leading. I think that the problem is if you're an Eagles backer -6, it's probably the last 2 minutes of this game.
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions come up here that I would like to ask you about. But first, let's see what that first half of -3 would cost here. I'm curious the decision to not go for the middle at the +6
because it was it was like -110 when I've got a dog in the race at +200 and I can go 50-50 straight down the middle, nice 4 figures either way, sit back, have a cigarette, have a cup of coffee, and have no sweat whatsoever. I'm not wishing my life away, thinking, "Oh, come on, Sunday." No, I've earned my wages out of this. I've took emotion right the way out of it. No, I'm going to win either way, and I'm going to win handsomely.
Yeah, I want all the money. I want it all.
I know you always. That's you, and no one will knock you for it because they would say that that's a proper gambler. Do you know what I mean? That's proper DJ. That's proper what you do.
I would only go for the middle.
Right.
I'd only go for the middle and get it all personally, but I decided not to do that at all. And this line did open at 4.5.
Yeah,
I mean it wasn't.
I think the number's 3.5 here. I really do. I can see the Eagles winning by 4.
Eagles first half -3. We can get that. You can get that right now -123. I'm curious. Did you get a better line than the -123?
No, it was like -120, maybe -121. So it's exactly the same. I've got -4 as well. You know, I think it's a 4-point first half. So really, all I've done is just took an average of 3.5.
You know, the Big Scott says greed will humble you. Usually I'm somebody, my dad hedges was a big hedger, and I started hedging too much probably about 10, 15 years ago on the stuff. You could say that, and that's a valid, sure, fine. But I also...
You pay your money, you take your chance. No, I disagree with that because the bottom line is you make an investment for them to win. Now, I made an investment back in the first week or the last week of July, first week as long as they got to the NFC, I was only ever going to take, because I got 650, I was only looking to get 325. Do you know what I mean? That was my whole mentality. I don't switch my strategy, but it doesn't mean that yours is wrong and mine's only right for me.
Well, and I also, as you guys know, I send in everything at the end of the year. So my regular season futures have me in the black. If that was not the case, then I would be acting differently. Eagles first half -3 at -1. Oh, but another thing I wanted to say as well is that I like the sweat.
Yeah, I know.
Like the sweat.
I know.
That's another part of me. Just my thing. I want a lot to be on the line for me in that way. I love that shit. All right, let's roll on here. We have Flash joining us from Costa Rica. Flash, the star of the Bet.
But James, I've got Gainwell over 10.5 yards rushing. And I've got over in the Eagles game as well. I've got this maybe 31-24, 31-27, just because both sides can put up points. They know each other inside out. And I worry about DPI on Slay and the safeties of the Eagles because they're very handsy. They're very, very aggressive. And the one thing that Daniel's so impressive him, he's got better and better before our very eyes. And I wish him well. And I've gone over 47.5 because I've got this closer to 50.
Big Scott says you enjoy the depression from losing. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And you get them all. I have to cut them. I have to block them on my X nonstop. All the touts who are giving you the final score, whatever. None of them can spell the word losing. Try spelling it right. If you want anyone to give you 2 seconds of your fucking time. Okay, so what was the Gainwell prop?
Over 10.5 rushing yards.
Over 10.5 rushing yards, and that's -110.
No, it wasn't. It was -125. A bit of honesty there, James.
Thank you. And then we have the over. Let's line shop for the over here for you right now. We haven't talked about this total too much. All you guys know that I am on the under. The one angle that did kind of also help here is Sean Hockley, the main official for the game. He is the second best official to the under. Only Bill Vinovich better than him. Hockley unders are 63, 45, and 3, 58% with him as the main official. Let's get into the full game under for you, Flash. Over. This total is dropping. We now have hit 47 flat, which is wonderful. So we can get you an over 47, which is a key number. Over 47 and minus 109. Over 47. Big Scott, that wasn't to you. Is the every single thing that I block on X of the guy they're giving you the final score or whatever, they all spell it wrong. It's just in my head all the time. I don't reply to them, but I could reply here to you. Over 47 at minus 109. Okay, we roll into the next spot on the board for Flash AFC Championship. Bills Chiefs. Flash, take us home.
Yeah, I love what Marley was saying. I was like a nodding dog listening to Marley, because I had this down, and I don't use other people's words, you know that, but I had it down as Manning Brady as well. I had it Patriots versus the Colts. I said to you last week, just don't. It's like if you go with the Ravens, you're jumping off a cliff. You go against the Chiefs, you're dying of 1,000 cuts. And I've got -0.5 first half, the Chiefs to be leading. Just everything that I'd want. I've got a defense that's going to mess about with the Bills. And I just cannot believe that I'm getting such a small number for a team that are going to go for a three-peat. They're at home. They've been beaten in the non-important regular season. I've got everything I want. I've got Pacheco. I've got P. Ryan. I've got tight ends that just obviously just come alive at this stage of the season. So it's all about the Chiefs for me, but I'm not disrespecting. If anyone says to me the Bills, I'm just wishing them luck and basically saying I've got no argument, because they are probably one of the best sides in national football. So I'm not here to say, the Chiefs are definitely going to win, but I'm definitely not going against them.
Chiefs first half. You do have a choice here. The money line for the Chiefs -119 first half. The spread -0.5, so they have to be ahead, is +101. What would you prefer?
No. I've took it myself, and a -105 as well it was. But so you're giving me a better number. No, I want to be Chiefs. Definitely first half. I'm going with Chiefs -1.5 at the end of the game as well. I can definitely see this being a field goal game. Win by 2, win by 3. You're giving me 1.5. I'm more than happy to be with the Chiefs. And I tell you, another one that I found was Mahomes at -130 to have 4.5 carries. And so I asked for a bit of advice here, or clarification. And when he takes the knee at the end of the game, that's a rush. So potentially I could get 3 rushes in the last minute and a half of the game if they're up. So I only need 2 rushes during the game. Well, the way that the Bills have been, what they did to Chokey last week, and they move him off the spot. I see Mahomes having a minimum of maybe 6-7 scrambles.
I like it. Over 4.5 rush attempts at -130. So we have the Chiefs first half -0.5 and Chiefs full game as well.
Yes, please. Yeah, -1.5. Is still 1.5 available?
Yes, but yes, -1.5, -111.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the number on the day. May I see it going to 2 rather than 1.
I love it. Absolutely love it. No, I hear you, Big Scott, but I'm curious. We know that more people are on the Commanders than the Eagles.
Well, because they're 220, aren't they? They should probably be +175. So again, it's one of those. But the best defense, I know that this time of year, defenses win. So you can't really be anything other than taking the points with the Commanders, like you say, or you just go with the money line of the Eagles, or you get on the Eagles in August and have a decision to make.
No, I love it. I love it. I love your action. Chiefs first half minus half plus 101. Chiefs minus 1.5. Full game minus 111. Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts at minus 130. In game one, we have Eagles first half minus 3 at minus 123. Gainwell over 10.5 rush yards at minus 125. And the over 47 at minus 109 in the NFC Championship. Flash, my man, thank you so much for all your time here. Love that you're rocking with us from Escazú, Costa Rica.
It's a bit windy here, though, James.
It is.
It's getting a bit windy.
Tell us what's going on. Where can we get your footy action, my friend?
Champions League again on Monday. It's match day 8 of 8. So teams have got to go and win. And we love that scenario. Almost like you've got to win on the last day of the regular season in NFL to qualify. We've got some teams that are really sweating. They're outside looking in, but it's in their own hands. They go and win. So that will be obviously on Monday, 2:00 Eastern time. And then we've got obviously La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and Premier League Thursday and Friday. But listen, good luck to you tomorrow. I am now officially happy that I'm going to go. You're not going to hedge. I know you now. If you'd have done it, you would have done it. I'm all on the Eagles for you.
Thank you, my man. There he is, Flash, joining us from San Jose, Costa Rica. What a great guy. Big Scott, it's all good. Everything they're saying, it's all good. And yes, you're right. Troy and I made a lot of money fading Mahomes there over and over and over again. And then I flipped. I backed him a bunch of times down the stretch. Double results. Got some big cashes, big scores against the Steelers. And you're welcome to. You're just welcome here, Big Scott, and anything you want to say, it's great. We welcome it, my friend. But yes, the public, it's come down. 67% of the tickets on the Commanders, 60% of the cash. I've taken a lot of heat online for everyone saying you're going to lose. You should hedge, you should all that stuff, you should middle, all that stuff. And it's all good. It's part of the fun here. We don't need to agree with each other. We're just trying to have information for all. I can't wait to bring on your next guest. He just finished starring in the Starting Five basketball show here on Pub Sports Radio, rocking with us this year. This is his first year on NFL Pub Hub, and we can't wait to have more and more and more of him here on the channel. Originally from Georgia, now in Pennsylvania. Please welcome our guy, the star of the Stacks Play of the Day. We have Justin McKelvie in the house. Justin, what's good, man? How are you?
Pretty good. How are you, Jimmy?
I am great. I am excited. We have such huge action today and tomorrow. I am on the Pacers as well, up 15 at halftime in Paris. It's a nice way to start the day. Justin, my man, let's get right to work. We start with the Commanders Eagles, a very controversial football spot here. Do you believe that Jaden Daniels can do what no other rookie quarterback has ever been able to do, a win in the conference finals? Take it away. The floor is yours, my man.
I do not. No. And my first bet of the show will be, I'm glad you asked that, is Jaden Daniels interception, minus 115. I seen it was at minus 122 this morning, so maybe it changed, but it was 115 when I bet it. So to answer your question, no, he can't do it again. He's a rookie. And he's a kid. I mean, he's a big kid, but he's a kid.
It's a very, very difficult situation for him, but he certainly captured the imagination of the betting public, and the Commanders have the gray cloud of Snyder off of,
You know what that is, Jimmy? It's because what you say all the time. It's what you last seen. All they seen was them beat almighty Detroit. They're not taking into consideration how hostile Philly's going to be. Like, I'm familiar with Philly. I go out to Philly. They jumped on Santa Claus. Like, they is going to be rowdy. And Washington talking shit. Like, interception. Free.
I love it. The Jaden Daniels interception here. We talked about it off of the hop. The vividness or the recency bias of all of the cappers here. Not here, but the underdogs just went 4-0 on the closing line of the divisional round. for the third time in NFL history and the first time since 2007. First time since 2007. Underdogs are 7-3 against the spread so far in the playoffs. So, I'm being hammered on our YouTube videos because these guys have made so much money off the Commanders, and God bless them. I want them to make money. Is there anything else that you're adding here other than the Jaden Daniels interception, my man?
Yeah, I got a defensive prop. I got Jalen Carter sack plus 120.
Jalen Carter sack at plus 120. We just saw him deliver 2 last week. I like it. Jalen Carter sack plus 120. And that Jaden Daniels interception was minus 115?
Yes. It went to 122 this morning, but when I got it, it was 115.
I love it.
As far as that game, I got 2, I guess you could say parlays. So you want me to get them to you now or?
With the Bills Chiefs?
Yeah.
Okay, let's set that one up here for you. Alonzo says you should hedge on the Commanders, guarantee yourself a profit. Let me mention this again. I have to send in all of my futures at the end of the year, and I'm guaranteed a profit. I had quite a strong regular season futures. I tweeted them all out, and I put out my record. So I am guaranteed a profit, Londo, on my futures. Now you're saying you could be guaranteed a profit on this bet. Look, I don't know. Look, I get it. I hedge a lot. You guys watch me hedge a lot. Not here. But I respect all of your thoughts on the matter. Shout out to our guy, Nunya, gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership. Let's roll into game 2 here for this enormous conference final Sunday. Justin, my man, Bills, Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. We have not yet had Chiefs backers on this show. Now, Ramon, Uncle Ramon gave us the props. Keith gave us the over in Kincaid. He didn't give us the Chiefs. But then we had Nicholas Earl give us the Chiefs. We had Marley give us the Chiefs. We had Flash give us the Chiefs. What's Justin McKelvie going to do? Take it away.
My first one is going to be Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown, plus 170.
He's done such a phenomenal job. We thought when Pacheco came back that Pacheco would take the RB1. That has not been the case. Kareem Hunt knows this might be his last chance, and he's taking advantage of the situation. Expand on your thoughts on Kareem Hunt.
I just feel like when they get down to the goal line, he's the back. He's the feature back now. Got playoff experience. Pacheco, we all know what he could do, but I don't feel like he's fully healthy. Even if he is, obviously, I feel like Hunt is the number 1 back here, especially when they get down to the goal line. You want to put Pacheco in there. He's just fresh off an injury. So who's your goal line back? It's going to be Hunt. He's going to score at least a touchdown plus 170 and misjudge that. That's horrible. I don't know why it's plus 170, but I love it.
Kareem Hunt at plus 170 for the anytime touchdown. I'm going to see what I'm curious to see, what Pacheco is at here offshore is plus 189, and then Hunt is a plus 167 here. Good job getting the plus 170. That is the first spot for Justin. Anything else you're looking at, my man?
Yeah, I got another anytime touchdown for Buffalo. It's Dawson Knox plus 525.
Dawson Knox plus 525 for the score. Expand on that.
I just love the Chiefs or the tight ends against the Chiefs. I feel like it's either going to be Cook, Allen, or Knox, but plus 525. I feel like they're going to be coming from behind. You're going to double all the main receivers, Knox in the slot, Knox in tight end. I love him. You always get a touchdown in this spot. Plus 525. That's my thought.
Hunt and Knox for anytime touchdowns. Anything else you're looking at, Justin?
Yeah. One of my part. Can I give a future? Is there going to be one more show left?
Yeah, we are going to be doing a Super Bowl show where the records will count. It'll be a little different. But yes.
Well, it's really not about a record, but I have an exacta. I just placed it last night and I love it. Eagles to beat the Chiefs plus 410.
Eagles beat Chiefs.
That's for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's totally valid.
Just in case somebody don't know. That's plus 410. I got that last night.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. We have Hunt, Knox, Eagles to beat the Chiefs. And you said you had an SGP?
Yep, I do. It's for the Eagles. It's Johan Dawson
Okay.
over a half reception, which means he just needs one reception. And the Eagles money line, that's plus 132.
Oh, I like that. Dotson, 1 catch, and Eagles.
Yeah, 1 catch. He used to play for them boys. You mean you ain't gonna get a boy 1 catch? It was minus 143 without the parlay. So if you want to play straight up, or anybody want to play straight up, it was at Bet Rivers. It was over a half minus 143. You just need 1 catch.
I love it. On Gravy, our guy Gravy saying, speaking of Kareem Hunt, shout out to the University of Toledo. Yeah, Gravy, I gave you the shout out right off the hop of the show, man. Your look Toledo Bowling Green was masterful, my friend. Stacks play of the day. Jaden Daniels. Well, it's not these. This is our star of the Stacks play of the day. Jaden Daniels interception minus 115. Jalen Carter sack at plus 120. Kareem Hunt in the second game, anytime touchdown plus 170. Dawson Knox anytime touchdown plus 525. Eagles beat the Chiefs. Future at plus 410. And his SGP Dotson catch. Eagles money line at plus 132 for our guy Justin McKelvie, who's now on X. Justin is now on X. Let me get this here. Now on X. Please support our guy Justin. He just is selfless as you could imagine. This guy just wants us all to get paid in full and beat the books. I'm going to pop your X handle in the chat. He's just joined this month, so please support our guy. Justin, any last word? Did I get everything? Was there anything you wanted to add?
No, that's everything.
Beautiful. Justin, could you give us any last words for the Capper Sport in the show, my man?
No, let's have a day. Appreciate you.
There he is, Justin McKelvie in the house. I love it. We are rolling right along. Let's welcome our next guest. Week 18, he joined us. He only joined us for 2 weeks this year. We need more of him on our channel. He's been helping and starring on the Starting 5 basketball show as well. He went 3-2 in week 18 plus 0.59 units. All he needs is one winner here to get into the black. Love capping with this gentleman. Please welcome Guns Picks to the show. Guns, what's good, man? How are you?
Hey, I have to have my own intro. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We are going to be rolling here with the NFC AFC Conference Championships, and I am absolutely fired up for it. And I got the plays that pay the bills. Let's get into it, Jimmy.
Let's pay those bills, Guns. NFC Championship, Commanders, Eagles. Take it away, my man.
Yeah, I listen. I know you got a future on the commies, but
not the Eagles.
Oh, you have a future on the Eagles.
Plus 600 to win the NFC.
Oh, I do too. So I got that in August. I'm going to be riding that ticket. I ain't hedging. Hedging's for gardeners. So I'm going to be on Philly on this one at -6. I'm just going to double down on the bet here. Let me tell you why. Listen, great run here by the Commodores here. I call them the Commodores. What do you want to call them? The Commanders. You look at what they do badly on the defensive side. They can't stop the run. They're 30th in opposing rush yards per play given up to opponents and yards per game in that regard. But you're going against a Philly offense that is number 1 in pass rush play percentage, rush attempts. They're 4th in rush yards per play, 2nd in rush yards per game, 3rd in rushing touchdowns per game, and they got the best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley. On the defensive side for Philly, they're 11th in opposing rush yards per play, 9th in rush yards per game, 1st in opposing pass yards per play, 2nd in opposing pass yards per game. So what I'm telling you is you have a great Philly defense. They're number 1 in opposing points per game as well. Then you got to look at that Washington game. Everybody's talking about, oh, they beat Detroit, the number 1 team, the number 1 seed, but they gave up 525 yards of total offense to Detroit and were outgained by 40 yards. Pump the brakes here. What was the difference in that game is the fact that Detroit turned the ball over 5 times in that game, resulting in 21 points for Washington. That is the difference in that scenario. But both these teams have played each other. This is an NFC East battle. So you have a sample size with both teams. Philly winning the first matchup 20-16, 4-point favorites in that one. Then they go on the road and they're 4-point favorites once again. However, Jalen Hurts gets hurt in the second quarter, putting in Kenny Pickett. They were +3 in turnover ratio and still lost that game on with Jaden Daniels with that last touchdown to clinch the game. But now you're seeing the line here at -6. So it's an uptick from the first matchup at Philly at home, which gives you an indicator to me that it's going to be another Philly spot here. And then you got to look at the scenario here. Philly is 4-1 ATS as the home favorite of 6 points or less this season. Why I just think that on this one, scenario wise, this is Washington's 4th road game in a row. No teams win road game after road game after road game, especially when you're going against a Philly team that hasn't left Lincoln Financial in 5 weeks now. This is their 5th home game in a row. This tells me all I need to know. Scenario-wise, everything all included. Philly is going to be the representative, in my opinion, in the NFC in the Super Bowl. So give me Philly -6 as the play.
I love it. I love it. And again, to back up that stat, I mentioned it early off the top, but the 8th team the Commanders will be since 2000 to enter a playoff game on the 4th game or later of a road trip. These previous teams are 0-7 straight up, and 1-5-1 against the spread. Shout out to our guy Leonard Porsche Jr. Cash and Barnes over 14.5 points, rebounds, never in doubt. Nut Flush, you or both of you gentlemen are the man. Leonard Porsche Jr. and Nut Flush Allen. Thank you for blessing our action, Leonard, my man. So anything else you're adding to that spot, Guns, or do we move on to game 2?
Yeah, I got a couple plays in game 2, so let's keep it moving.
It was a great breakdown, though. I love it. Let's roll on. Next up for us, we have the Bills. Chiefs. I don't know why it's not. Try this again. Okay, so we've here. Know that we're talking Bills. You know what? I'll just take this off. A graphic. I'm very thankful that the graphics were put in before the show, but we don't have yours for this game here. But we are talking Bills, Chiefs. Guns, take it away, my man.
Yeah, let's talk about the total. Buffalo, Kansas City. You know, Buffalo does own them in the regular season. I don't know about the playoffs. Probably it's a lead toward the Kansas City. So to me, it's a coin flip either way is when I look at this line. But I think we can take advantage of the total here. And let me break it down for you. What you got with the Buffalo team, they've excelled on both sides of the ball in terms of points per game. They're 2nd in offensive scoring, number 1 in points per play, 6th in yards per play, 2nd in red zone scoring conversion percentage, and they're 3rd in touchdowns per game. On the defensive side, they are 8th in opposing scoring, but they're going against a KC offense here that, while their numbers don't look that well overall this season, they've really excelled on as we got closer to into December and into the playoffs. They've actually averaged 25 points per game in their last 4 games, and I'm throwing out week 18, obviously, because they didn't even play their starters. But when these two teams met back in November, Buffalo did win the game 30-21. They were 2.5-point favorites in that spot. Line opened at Buffalo +1. Then you have the total that was at 47 that upticked to 48. But now you're seeing the total here at 48.5 is a little bit of adjustment from the books that are saying that, to me, I think we're looking at it over here. And situationally, on the road, it's worked very well for Buffalo because Buffalo is 5-1 to the over in their last 6 road games. And in Kansas, when you look at Kansas City, they've been more of an under team this year. However, this is the highest total that KC has had at home, which gives you a good indicator here that we're looking at it over. But also look at the situational play when we look at the number at 48.5 right now. I think it's sitting at in most books. KC is 4-1 to the over versus non-divisional opponents when the total is more than 46. So to me, I think that this is going to be a great back and forth. I'm glad this is the primetime game, the later game on this one with KC versus Buffalo, Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes. I think these two teams, when they do meet, they tend to score points. The over has hit 5 out of the last 7 matchups between these two teams, with the average outcome being 54 points per game, and the total is sitting below that. I think this total goes way over the 50 here between these two teams. Do I know who's going to win? I think it's going to be the last man who has the ball. It could be Pat Mahomes. It could be Josh Allen. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a very close game and an exciting game, but I'm going to play the total here. Give me the over in the Buffalo KC matchup, 48.5 as the play.
Do you want the 48 at -114 or the 48.5 -104?
Let's do. I'll take the 48. That's a key.
48 at -114. Keep rolling, Guns. What's next for you in this one?
Yeah, let's do a prop because I am the prop gun, and I'm always firing the props. Having a great prop year, by the way. Actually, the first one that I've done for a full season. But let's talk about Xavier Worthy and over on his reception yards. I think this is a perfect spot for him to really excel in this game, and he's been red hot as of late and a prime target here for Pat Mahomes, other than of course, Travis Kelce. But when you look at the Buffalo defense, they've been absolutely vulnerable in the passing game this season. 28th in opposing pass completion percentage, 21st in opposing pass yards per play, 20th in opposing yards per game. And the Buffalo defense is ranked 28th in defensive DVOA versus the number one receiving target, giving up the 5th most yards to wide receiver 1 as well. Worthy has been a big target for Mahomes on the back half of the season. If you look at his numbers, he's averaged 54.6 yards per game in his last 8. So I think this is going to be a prime time moment here for Worthy. And Worthy has also averaged 8 targets, 5.5 catches per game in that sample size. Then the last 6 opponents, when you actually break down the last 6 opponents that Buffalo has faced on the defensive side outside the division, the wide receiver 1 has put up, get this, 49.8 yards above their season average. That's right. They give up so many yards to wide receiver 1. It's ridiculous. And then you look at the prop line here at 48.5 and 48.5, 49.5 that we're seeing on the boards. I've seen 47.5. It's kind of bouncing around depending on what books that you get it at. But you look at Worthy's season average, he only averages 38 yards receiving per game. So I think that the books are telling you a story here. When they make the line 10 yards above his season average, they're telling you that he's going to be an exceptional target for Mahomes in this game. And if I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, I'm going to be taking a lot of passing overs because Buffalo's defense is more vulnerable in the pass than they are in the run. And Xavier Worthy should have a big game here. So give me the over on his receiving yards, 47.5 as the play.
Over 47.5. That's minus 110?
Minus 114.
Minus 114 for our guy Guns picks. Xavier Worthy over 47.5 receiving yards. The over 48. So we have 2 cappers on the channel now. Keith, each and every stride, and our guy Guns both on the over. And I can understand it. I'm very nervous about my under. I have unders in both games at 48. One's down to 47. One's up to 48.5. So you can tell which ones I'm comfortable.
I like the under in the Philly game. That's a lean for me. I'm not making an official play, but like if I had to pick one, if you think Philly's going to win this game and cover this game, the way they do that is they control the clock, they run the ball efficiently, and they let their defense do the rest of the work. So I think probably you're looking at a low scoring game in the Philly game, but that Bills game, if you're not taking it an over and you're not rooting for points, what are you rooting for? I mean, let's root for points in that game. Come on now.
You are in business, Guns. Great work here. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what's going on the Guns YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm doing college basketball. I'm transitioning into college basketball content, knowing that college football is over and my Irish lost. Of course, you saw me dying with Jimmy.
You were great though. You're a class act, man.
Yeah. Well, I had to talk a little smack to Ohio State and tell them how much of a detriment program they are. But I digress. You can go find me on the Gunspicks YouTube channel. I'm actually going to be doing late night bangers tonight with doing the late slate of college basketball content, giving you some plays there. Also, go check out the Break and Ankle show that I do on Friday nights. I do that live. Just all the content on the Gunspicks channel, and of course, the extra points tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down the NFL NFC AFC conference championships with me, the Shark, and the Odds Fellows. So go check that out. But let's just have ourselves a beautiful Saturday, a beautiful Sunday. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the bow. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bang!
There he is. Guns picks in the house. Firing shots. And shout out to Old E gifting 5 Pud Sports Radio memberships. What a guy Old E is. Thank you for your support of the channel. We love capping with you. I'm very, very thankful to rock with you. Brian, Joe Wadzinski, movie ticket recaps, Tyler Dyson, and Dog Sack. Old Dog Sack. Good old Dog Sack getting the gifted memberships. Let's roll on to our next guest. We head to South Jersey. He hammered the PFL card all morning. That's on right now. So we're pulling away from the fights. The star of the Locker Room Talk podcast, and of course, the star of Pop Sports Radio. Please welcome our guy Billy Brisbane to the show. Brizzy, what's good, man? How are you?
What's Gucci? How's everybody doing? Back like I never left.
Yes, and we love having you here, Brizzy. Let's get right to work here. NFC Championship, Commanders, Eagles. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, right off the bat here, I really like the spot here for the Eagles. I like the Eagles minus the 6 here on the spread. I think the Eagles win this game by margin. Seems like the pieces are kind of just lining up here. The Commanders are the 8th team since 2000 to enter a playoff game on their 4th game on the road. Those previous teams are 0-7 straight up, 1-5-1 ATS. And then if you look at the market for most popular tickets at BetMGM, this is just BetMGM. It's not comparative to all the markets, but Commanders money line plus 240, Buffalo money line plus 110, Washington Commanders plus 6 on the spread, Buffalo plus the 2 on the spread, Philly Washington over 47.5, Buffalo KC over 48. Those are the most popular plays of the week. So I really like this Eagle spot here to cover the spread.
I love it too, although I don't need it. Just basically I got the plus 600 on the money line, to win the NFC, and I'm doing nothing about it. Just going to sit back and expect it to cash. Eagles -6 at -106. Young Native Tino says, how many times Eagles flop in the playoffs? Well, you can say that about the Eagles, sure, but you can't say that about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is, these are his stats. Sorry, let me pull it up here. Jalen Hurts has never lost at home in the playoffs in his career. 4-0, 3-1 against the spread. Jalen Hurts as a home favorite is 25-3 straight up in his career. Teams that are 6-point or more favorites in the conference finals are 13-3 straight up. So, you can say that about the Eagles, but I don't think you can say that about Jalen Hurts personally here. Now, he's not won the big game. Brizzy, what is that your only spot? Because then I can ask you a question on this.
No, second spot here is going to be a touchdown prop. Zach Ertz, anytime touchdown, plus 280. I mean, he has a team high 28% target share in the red zone. 7 of his 8 touchdown receptions have came against man coverage. And then you throw in the revenge spot here. I like Zach Ertz anytime touchdown here at plus 280.
I love it. And anything else before I hit you with this question?
No, sir.
Okay. What do you think makes this Eagle squad different from previous incarnations?
I mean, do you want the obvious answer or do you want like the strategic answer?
I'd like both.
All right. The obvious answer is Saquon Barkley. You don't have to have Jalen Hurts throw the ball past 25 yards if Saquon Barkley is ripping off 20-yard runs. If you look at just daily fantasy models for this weekend, I've never seen this before, but Saquon Barkley is like lapping the field when it comes for projected ownership and projected raw points on the slate. Like, I don't think that you can make a lineup this weekend in daily fantasy without having Saquon Barkley in it. I think he's going to be like over 90% threshold in a 2-game slate, which it tells you everything you need to know. I mean, I feel like Washington Commanders 30th ranked defense, that's a terrible recipe of success against the Eagles. It feels weird though, because remember we're on stream the first night the Commanders played, and I was a little bit out of it. I was a little bit tired, and I was like the only person on panel with the Commanders ticket, and I was telling you guys about the script of like, I think they're going to do the Jaden Daniels things, and everybody was telling me, dude, you should probably get some more sleep. And I was like, I think I'm woke. And now we flash forward to this week, and now it's like the Commanders, you can't watch an NFL show, an ESPN show, or anything without seeing the Washington Commanders. I think this is where it all comes to die.
I do too. It was a great answer. A great answer, Billy, my man. Let's roll on to game 2 here. You'll be live with us, I hope, on screen for our big, giant game tomorrow. We start at 5:45 p.m. Eastern for Bills Chiefs. Everything on the line. We'll know their opponent at that point. Take it away, Brizzy. How you getting paid in the AFC Championship?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like everybody's on this, but Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown here, plus 195. I mean, this story goes back to draft night when the Bills traded back and passed up on Worthy. And if you thought that he forgot about it, oh my God, watch the press conference. He said, I did not forget that the Bills passed up on me in the draft. I'm going off against him this weekend. And I believe him, man. In his last 4 games, 37 targets, 9 catches, 3 touchdowns, 5 catches or more in 6 straight games with 40-plus yards in each of those games. I think Xavier Worthy is the guy that you want to bet in the back of the end zone. Everybody's going to bet Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt. I think it's going to be the rookie here, Xavier Worthy. And that's going to lead into my second play here.
So was Worthy an anytime touchdown or yards?
Anytime touchdown plus.
And what do you get on that?
plus 195. I mean, obviously, if I'm betting the anytime touchdown prop, I would bet the receptions. The reason why I like the receptions more than the yards is because how many times do we see the Chiefs run some screen pass bullshit? I mean, he could get two right off of that. And remember, he's a gadget guy. He has some rushes as well. So, like, in his last 4 games, 37 targets, 9 carries. So he's used around in that gadget screen area of like jet sweeps, short screens. So I like the receptions more than the yards.
Locked in worthy. And I've seen you cash the over receptions, and I've been on a yards prop and lost it. So I've watched this succeed for you. It's very important information.
For Troy, though, man. Troy said that shit, I think, at the beginning of the season, that the next gen thing that you can buy or whatever, that shit is way better than what it was in years past. It is like a lot more in depth, and you can basically see somebody's target. Like, you can literally see it if it was like Madden, like the routes that they're running, where they're getting catched at, what play and highlight it is. It's actually pretty crazy. It cuts down a lot of research time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What else are you looking at in Bills Chiefs?
Yeah, last play to leave us out here is going to be Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts. Yeah, this used to be at plus money back in the day, but the back in the day is not back in the day anymore. It's at minus 114. But the Bills have played the most man coverage out of any of the teams that are left in the playoffs. And against man coverage defenses, Mahomes scrambles 31% more, averaging 5.2 rush attempts per game. And Mahomes gets his rush attempts if he gets those kneel downs here at the end of the game. I think the Chiefs roll here in this spot, and we get those extra kneel downs that we need here at the end of the game here to cash us over 4.5 rush attempts.
It's so this is the second time now we've heard this. It makes tons of sense. This is a spot that flashes on as well, and he talked about the kneel downs as well. It's a very interesting spot that I'm going to spend more time on. I love it, and I love doing this show a day earlier, which is something we're trying here in the playoffs. This is the first time we've done it when the games aren't on Saturday, but it allows you to marinate with some of this action. I'd put asterisks beside it. Mahomes, over 4.5 rush attempts. Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown plus 195. Zach Ertz, anytime touchdown plus 280. And the Eagles -6 for Billy Brisbane. Billy, my man, we have you, one of the co-hosts of the Locker Room Talk podcast, coming up next with us. Tell us a little bit about what's ahead on Tuesday.
Yeah, Locker Room Podcast. We might be road to the bye this week for the PFL or Bellator's last event, if you want to call it. But the UFC's right overseas as well. Saudi Arabia card, Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov in the main event. And if you really look at that card is better than this upcoming pay-per-view. And that's why you need to watch the Locker Room Podcast this Tuesday to see what bets we have on. We had one of the guys on the prelims, Mike Davis, come on the Dana White Contender Series. He's finally getting his call back inside the octagon. So we're rooting for him here as a champ.
I love it, Brizzy. Thank you for all of your hard work all season long. I can't wait to rock with you again on the live stream tomorrow night. We go from Brizzy to our next guest. As I said, the co-host of our number one show on the channel, the Locker Room Talk podcast. Our next guest has joined us for 4 shows, and he's won being in the black in each and every one of them. And I'm not sure if that's been done. It hasn't been done this year. I'll have to go back to last year to see if it's ever been done. Now, Marley, who got off to such a phenomenal start this year, he didn't go 4 straight cashers. He won week 1, week 2. Week 1 and week 3. He lost in week 4 and then won week 6, 7, 8, and 9. So, he won 6 of his first 7. But your next guest has won on every single show he has joined us on. He is looked for plus money spots, so he's 7-6, but that 7-6 is plus 2.22 units. Please welcome Just My 2 Cents in the house. 2 Cents, how are you, my man?
I'm doing a lot better now, Jimmy. Thank you for the kind words. And, dude, thank you for having me back, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. What's up, boys? Please, for the love of God, smash the fucking like button. We just got over 50. I was about to come on here and piss and fucking moan about that. I was going to fucking withhold my plays before I even fucking said anything, but we did get up over 50. Please smash the like button if you haven't already. Jimmy, thank you so much for having me back, and I'm very excited. Ship weekend, boys. How we feeling? How we doing? Glad to be back.
We're doing good here, and I'm looking forward to watch you work. The drive for 5 begins now, TC. Take it away. Commanders, Eagles, the floor is yours, my friend.
I'm really excited for this game. I like what I've heard from a lot of the cappers, what I've been listening to so far. So this game, first of all, I do like the Eagles in this game, but what I did for this first play is I got pretty greasy. This is another same game parlay. I hit one of those last week with the Ravens. They're sadly not with us anymore. But
that quickly here, that Ravens SGP was an absolute thing of beauty. They lose the football game, and you cash the SGP very easily. I mean,
that's exactly why I took my bias out of it, dude. Like, they're my sweetheart team. The old lady was crushed, but it's like that's exactly why I stayed away from the money line. And this first play is not going to be a money line. I
want to remind them of it though. Here, this was the play. Just because I want, it's so important to recognize what cappers are doing to succeed. And we watched 2 cents win every time he's been on the show. This was his prop. He took, and he lowered the numbers. He took Lamar Jackson 175 or more passing yards. He threw for like 250 or 260. Derrick Henry 70 or more rushing yards, and he ran for like 88, something like that. And Mark Andrews 25 plus receiving yards. He caught for like, I don't know, 60. At what point, do you remember at what point that cashed? Was it like mid third quarter or early?
Yeah, it took a little bit to get going. Andrews especially. I'm like, dude, if this fucking thing falls apart on Andrews, I'm gonna be so pissed. But then once he got going, that easily cleared that leg. But I'm glad you brought that up, Jimmy. Go ahead.
The SGP with the bet, not including a side or a money line or a total, is something that we haven't seen, and we've seen it cash time and time again. That wasn't the only one that cashed. Remember, Keith each and every stride, he cashed the Laporta Robinson Jr. anytime touching about SGP, and I think it's really important to focus on how is this capper succeeding. I didn't mean to interrupt though.
No, sure, but yeah, how about terrible Terry, baby? Let's fucking go, dude. Terry, terrific. However you want to look at it, man. But yeah, that was one that just felt right. But I'm glad you brought up that same game parlay, Jimmy, because that is what I'm doing here for this first game, man. I got a greasy same game parlay that features legs from both sides of this football game. So y'all ready for this shit, boys? Please smash the like button. And I'll love you more than I already do. So here we go. I made this parlay, the legs of this parlay, based on what I had seen in games previous and just a feeling of how I think this game is going to go. I think the Eagles are going to win. They've won the last 2 meetings against the Commanders, but what stood out in both of those games and what has kind of been trending in the direction that I'm going here is that the Commanders can't fucking stop the run, dude. And they definitely can't stop the run against the Eagles. They've been worse in the playoffs stopping the run in yardage, and they've already given up 3 touchdowns. I think Saquon Barkley, dude, he bitched them in both games, regular season games they play the Commanders. I think he's going to fucking run roughshod over them again today, but I'm not going crazy. I'm not getting too cocky with it, so this is what it is. Saquon, 90-plus yards, that's one leg, and somewhere in that, he finds the end zone. So Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 90-plus yards, and here's the last one. Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to have a pretty decent game through the air, but again, it's plus 175. So I'm like, the tendency or like the urge is to like, oh, dude, he's going to easily get 200. Like the numbers are way better for that, but it's like, no, plus 175. So it's Barkley anytime, Barkley 90-plus yards, Jaden Daniels 175-plus yards for plus 100.
Plus 100 there. I like it. I'm watching you cash with these. We are all ears. SGP, Barkley 90 plus, Barkley anytime touchdown, Daniels 175 plus. That's at plus 100. Anything else you're looking at here in Commanders Eagles?
I do have something else, but it also carries into the next game too. So we can hit the next one, and I'll kind of just pick up where I left off.
Let's roll into Bills Chiefs, my friend. This is a big one at Arrowhead. I can't wait to hear your breakdown.
Woo! People are not going to like this one. Well, some people aren't going to like it. So I'm not touching totals. I can't hit an over-under to save my fucking life, dude. And I'm actually not. I was really tempted to do same game parlay and get greasy with Allen and like Cook and all this shit, but I'm not going to do it, man. This is the first bet that I made for this week or this like this weekend or whatever. And this is old TC's Super Bowl matchup parlay. Some people are really not going to fucking like this one, dude. But like I said, I think that this Jaden Daniels Cinderella story has been fun. He's an incredible player, but I think the fucking clock strikes midnight and he turns into a fucking pumpkin. Like, I think he's going to have a decent day, but I think he throws a costly pick, and I think the Eagles win that game. The reason I'm bringing that up is this is the first leg, or that was the first leg of this parlay. I think the Eagles are going to represent the NFC, and I don't know if y'all realize this or not. You might not like it, but in my fucking dumbass opinion, Chiefs are fucking three-peating, dude. You can fucking love it. You can hate it. I just think that's what's fucking happening. So I don't know how this game's going to go as far as how much they're going to win by, but they're fucking winning this game. It's going to be Eagles-Chiefs in the Super Bowl plus 145.
Plus 145. Eagles.
So that's Eagles money line, Chiefs money line.
Eagles versus Chiefs at plus 145 here for Bills Chiefs. Anything else that you're looking at in this spot?
That's it, dude.
I love it. I love it. Can we get the drive for 5 straight winning shows from our guy? Just my 2 cents. Barkley 90 plus, Barkley anytime touchdown, Daniels 175 plus passing yards, and a Eagles Chiefs parlay at plus 145 here. 2 plus money spots as we've seen.
That's it. Short and sweet.
Just my 2 cents. Thank you so much for rocking with us. We had Billy touch on next week, but it is the #1 show on our channel, the Locker Room Talk podcast. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
Dude, thanks again for having me. Thank you to everyone that's listening to the chat right now, boys. Yeah, dude, I'm pretty excited about this card coming up. Like Billy said, it's a good one. It's in Saudi Arabia, so the times are going to be kind of weird. I got to double check on that myself, but we will be back for this next week, Tuesday, right here on Pub Sports Radio, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jimmy, dude, thanks again. I can't say it enough. Let's get that 5 for 5, dude. Let's keep this fucking train rolling, baby. Yeah, man. Best of luck today, boys. And yeah, good shit. Thanks again, Jimmy.
I love it. There is our guy, just my 2 cents, delivering the goods. The drive for 5 straight winning shows off the hop here. We roll on to our next guest, and we head west to California. Had the pleasure of hanging out with our next guest, his wife and children. What a family he has. So many of the Lowbaggers have such great families, and this is another example of that. Please welcome the man known for the prime cut play of the day and the surf and turf play of the day, of which we have both here for you guys. Please welcome our friend, the Sweaty Butcher, in the house. Butch, what's good, man? How are you?
What's up, guys? What's up, Jimmy? Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, I mean it, man. I mean it. Class act, great family. So much fun. Those boys are a lot of fun, dude.
Thanks, man.
What a wildly exciting household you must have at all times with those guys.
Oh, yeah. It's fun.
Let's get right to work, my friend. We head into the Commanders and the Eagles, and I am staring at your action right now. So why don't we go into the prime cut right off the hop? Why don't we hit the prime cut play of the day, and then we'll roll into the player props. But save the surf and turf because I know that's the one from each game. So we'll save the surf. So let's open with the prime cut, close with the surf and turf. So let's start with the prime cut play of the day.
Sounds good. All right. So looking back at these two teams, in the first quarter, it seems like their scripts are working very well for both of them. All those first drives for the Eagles have been phenomenal. First quarters have been phenomenal. They're executing their plays. Obviously, they've been practicing it, talking about it. It's written down, and they're doing it. Same with the Commanders. They've had pretty good success in the first quarter. Their first couple of drives have been decent as of late. So they've gone over the first quarter of over 9.5 points 3 out of the last 5 games of Commanders, and the Eagles have gone over 4 out of the last 5 games of Commanders. So I'm here for the opening script. I got the over 9.5 in this first quarter of this game. That's the prime cut.
First quarter over at 9.5 is the prime cut. Let's start with the Commanders player prop that's next for you. Take it away.
Okay, I'm looking at Austin Eckler here. He's been pretty decent in that backfield catching balls with Jaden Daniels. If you look at the last Eagles Commanders game, the way the Commanders got around that tough box is with checkdowns and screens to Eckler. He had, I think, 9 receptions, 11 targets, something like that. He's been getting his targets up there lately too. The last game against the Lions, he had 4 with 4 receptions and whatnot. So I thought it was a pretty good price here. I feel like they had success with these screens and checkdowns against the Eagles last time, and they'll probably try and go back to that. So at plus 115, I got Eckler over 3.5 receptions.
Over 3.5 receptions, and we can get slightly better than that. We can get you a plus 120 right now for the over 3.5 receptions. That's available pretty much market wide. We can also get that first quarter over 9.5. We can get that VIG down a little bit. That's available right now at minus 108. So we have the Sweaty Butcher rolling prime cut first quarter over 9.5. Then Eckler over 3.5 receptions. Now we move on to the Philadelphia Eagle props. Take it away, my man.
Yeah, I'll start with Jalen Hurts and his feet. I think he gets it moving. I think a couple tush pushes or brotherly shoves, whatever you want to call them, those count as carries. There'll be a couple of those in this game for sure. There'll be a couple kneel downs at the end of the game, as I think the Eagles will have the lead, and probably a couple design plays for Hurts at 7.5 carries. I like it. As some of you guys know, earlier in the season, I swayed away from the quarterback rush yards and jumped on the carries just because of those kneel downs and certain things take away. Those are such bad beats when you have over 40.5 rush yards and 2 kneel downs takes it away. So the carries I like, I could see kind of what I just said, a couple kneel downs, a couple tush pushes, a couple runs. 7.5 seems like a decent number to get to. I could see Hurts getting 8 to 10 rushes here tonight or tomorrow night. Sorry.
I like it. I like it a lot. One thing, I always keep an eye out for is what are the props that aren't being offered at the sharpest spots, and the sharpest books are not offering Jalen Hurts rush attempts. They're only offering his yards. So obviously that immediately intrigues me. And it's the same thing with Jaden Daniels. The sharpest book is not offering the quarterback rush attempts because they're being cashed. So
yeah. I mean, I think it correlates to what I said earlier too, that the books are making more money off them rush yards, off those bad beats. And they don't want to offer those carries. They know there's going to be 3 kneel downs at the end of this game, So that's there. And I looked at Jaden Daniels' attempts, the book that I got mine at. It was at 11.5. He probably gets there. He's their leading rusher on that team, but 11.5 just seemed real high for me to take out a quarterback prop. So I went with Hurts. I feel pretty solid about that.
Over 7.5 carries. Now we move on to a running back prop. Now, this running back prop was talked about in the chat. Not flush out on it in the chat. It was, people liked it in the chat, but no one has moved on it here live on the show. Take it away. Your plan with Barkley.
Yeah, so I seen that flush. I think got a little bit better number than I did, but I still like it no matter what. Saquon Barkley, he's gonna break one off for sure. This Washington Commanders, everyone said it. They have no rush defense. They can't stop the rush. As soon as he gets past those linebackers, it's open field. It's done. I could see him breaking off a 60-yarder easy. But I got the over 25.5 at his longest rush. And I thought that was a good spot. I know he's gone over 130 yards against these guys, this and that, but he got there because he's broken off these 50-yard fucking runs. And I'd rather just take that one shot at the one run than sweat out the whole game on 100+ yards. So I thought that was a good spot for Barkley to bet on. I'm sure the public's heavy on his rush yards and everything else. So I thought maybe that was a little more sneakier spot, but I like it. I feel good about it. It's a good price. 25.5 that's an easy run for Barkley. We've seen it all year.
Another prop not being offered at the so-called the book that is the most respected offshore, not offering that prop. I tell you, if you can keep an eye on the props that this book doesn't offer and then compare it to the, then look at it on other books, your ROI will be positive. I promise you that. Barkley longest rush over 25.5 rush yards. So that concludes, except for the surf and turf, which we're going to talk about here. That concludes action from the Commanders Eagles. So we move on to Bills Chiefs here. Let's start with the Chiefs Russian receiving prop. Let's start there. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah, so to start it off, I really do like the Chiefs here. And it's mostly because I hate the Bills. But I like the Chiefs here too. So anyways, I didn't bet on the side. I lean Chiefs, but I didn't bet on the side. Well, what I did look at is some players here, and I've noticed Isaiah Pacheco. He hasn't had a good season, and it seems he's getting worse the last few games. I've heard Flash talk about him stepping up in big games and stuff, but if you look at his last 4 or 5 games, they're bad. I know he's a little banged up and coming off his injury. They've just been bad. Last week he had 5 touches. I mean, it doesn't look good for him. Kareem Hunt looks like he's taking the lead here, and so I tacked his under. And the rush yard prop I noticed when I looked at it was at 29.5. And as I don't think he gets there, I kept digging, and I found his rushing and receiving prop added an extra 10 yards. And I looked back at his receiving stuff. He hasn't done nothing in the receiving. He's literally played 10 games, and he's only gone over 45 yards 4 times out of those 10 games. And that's including rush and receiving. So I got the rush receiving combo under 40.5 for Isaiah Pacheco. I don't think he gets too involved in this game. I could be wrong. There could be bounce back spot for him or something. But just looking back at these games and looking at his season this year, it doesn't look like the Chiefs rely on him as much as Kareem Hunt. So I'm take the under here on Pacheco. I'm not sure. Did I lose you? I only have me on the big screen right now.
I am so sorry about that.
Oh.
That's the first time that's happened. My internet's usually money in the bank, but I fell off there. I was like, oh no, I've lost Butch. And I was like, no, it's me. And I started panicking.
No, I just put an actual exclamation point on that under right there. It just showed how serious I was about it,
Yeah, under 40.5 rush and receiving and -115. I love the look. It makes a ton of sense. And thank you for holding the fort there. It just seems like it's Kareem Hunt's job, and he's running with it right now. And he knows this could be his last opportunity, and he knows why it was taken away from him as well. So he's certainly taking advantage of the moment. Let's move on to an anytime touchdown prop for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I got keep it simple here. I got James Cook to get to touchdown. The only way I don't see him getting there is if that cuck Josh Allen steals it from him, which I could see happening. But at the price I got, +110, I like it. He's had 11 touchdowns in his last 10 games. Guy's rolling. He's getting the looks. He's down there. If they're within the red zone. He's getting touches. The only thing, like I said, scares me. They get down to maybe the 1 or 2 yard line. Josh is big, fat ass going to walk right through it. But plus 110, that's what I got it at. I seen some plus 120s out there recently. I think that's good money right there. I think James Cook finds the end zone maybe twice, but for sure, I like him to get a touchdown here.
That rolls us in. By the way, shout out to Lamont Williams. Max betting both underdogs on the money line for our friend Lamont Williams. Well, that leads us in to the surf and turf. Now, I noticed you picked plus line plus parlays, or sorry, plus props into your parlay. Now, are these your two? And just by 2 cents, saying he almost took the Cook anytime touchdown himself. Were these your two favorite props? Then can we say?
Yeah, they were.
Well, take it away.
Yep.
The surf and turf play of the day.
Yeah, so we could go back to it. That Eckler receptions, I think he's heavily involved in this pass game today. Like I said, Eagles' run defense is very, very good. They're going to stack the box. He might not find a lot of room in the rushing, but they're going to dial up some screens for him. They're going to dial up some checkdowns for him. I could see this going way over. So I really liked it. I was really surprised it was at plus money at this number. And I get it that they're not usually not going to put a running back over like 4.5 receptions, but at 3.5 and the price we got, I love this play. It's one of my favorite plays of the day.
The surf and turf play of the day. Eckler over 3.5 receptions. Cook anytime touchdown at plus 351. You also bet those both individually, as well as Pacheco under 40.5 rushing receiving yards. The Hurts over 7.5 carries. Barkley's longest rush at over 25.5 yards on the longest rush, and Washington, Philadelphia first quarter over 9.5. The Sweaty Butcher playing for keeps. Also, if you want to hang out with the Sweaty Butcher and us, come to Pubapalooza 4, baby. God damn, I cannot wait. I'm going to pop Sweaty Butcher's X handle in the chat. Please support our guy, the Sweaty Butcher. Thank you for your time here on a Saturday, my man. Any last words for the cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jimmy. I appreciate the chat. Best chat in the business. I've been in there for 8+, almost 10 years now. Wine Time, Just My 2 cents, Nunya, Old E for the donations. You guys are awesome. Everyone's awesome here. It's a great place to be, you guys. Let's get that cash.
I love it and can't wait to hang out with you in San Antonio, my man. Thank you for
Me
rocking
too,
with
man.
us.
All
the
right.
Sweaty Butcher in the house. We roll on to our headliner. We are ending strong. I love this show. Thank you to everybody who's rocked with us. Ramon Scott, Keith, Nicholas Earl, Marley, Flash, Justin McKelvie, Guns, Brizzy, 2 cents, Sweaty Butcher, and now our final guest of the show. Let me get this off here. Please welcome the star of the Picks from Dave YouTube channel, as well as Nerd Talk. A lot of cappers hoping that Nerd Talk appears. We miss it. Please welcome our friend, Mr. Dave Rogers, to the show. Dave, what's good, man? How are you?
What's up, Jimmy? What's up, chat? Good to be here.
These are two wildly interesting football games, Dave. I cannot wait for them. We'll be live here for game 2. But we start at Lincoln Financial Field. Dave, NFC Championship, Commanders, Eagles. Take it away.
Yeah, this one's the tricky game to me. And I've sort of guessed right with the Eagles. Last week I had the Rams. They covered. Thank God for that safety. And the week before I had them, had the Eagles. So, and Commanders I've actually gotten wrong. But when I'm listening, I've watched most of the show, and I don't disagree with a lot of what the Eagles backers, and there's been more of them, have. But there's something that formed my bet in this game. And I never really do this, focus on one past game, but the last game that the Commanders and Eagles played said a lot about what can happen in this game. And I get that the biggest thing for me is I get that the Commanders have a horrible rush defense, but you need to dissect last game and see what happens, because Barkley, we saw last week, and this is what he does. It's the Barkley burst. He does his damage on 1 or 2 plays, and then he kind of peters out. And that's what happened in this last game. First quarter, I know Pickett came in, Hurts got hurt, whatever. I don't see Hurts as really a definitive factor in anything. I think he's overrated, one of the biggest, most overrated NFL quarterbacks maybe ever. He has done nothing in big games, so we'll see if he can do it. But Barkley is the focal point. And what Barkley did last game, he had 150 yards, but over 100 of that was in the first quarter. After that happened, the Commanders held in a less than 2 yards per rush, under 50 yards. They figured out what to do with Barkley after he tagged him for 68 yards was his big rush last game. So that shows promise for me that they can at least focus on what the biggest weapon is. But some other things in that game that people aren't talking about. There were 5 turnovers, 2 Jaden Daniels interceptions, and 3 fumble recoveries by the defense. And there were 3 huge pass interference calls. So everything was going against the Commanders in that last game, and they still won the game. And that has to do with Jaden Daniels throwing 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. So do the Eagles win? Absolutely. This has backdoor cover written all over it to me. 6 points is too many. I'm with Flash. I think it should be like 3.5 would be the number, 3.5, 4. So I'm on the Commanders, fully expecting the Eagles to come out and be ahead and be inside their number the whole game, just to see the Commanders come back to backdoor cover. So I'm on the Commanders in this game.
Commanders at +6. Let's touch on that. Well, first off, do you have more action on this one?
No, that's
okay.
it.
Let's touch on it, Dave. Now, the thing about Hurts that I like very much, and I've bet the Eagles a lot this year, and I bet unders in Eagles games a lot, is that he controls the pace of the play. They dominate time of possession. They were dominating time of possession before Kenny came in. When he came in, all angles were lost with this fucking wild card. There's a reason why a guy like Tomlin could not handle watching him at quarterback, because it's just a fucking wild card. Pace of play and possession time are so key for me, and that is what I think was the difference in that football game, was that when there's not these long drives, you're allowing, like, if Jaden Daniels gets confidence, I mean, we've seen what he's done. He's been very, very, very good. With this plan of the Commanders in the backdoor cover, would you be looking at a live bet on the Commanders when the Eagles go up?
But yeah, absolutely. And that goes hand in hand. And I 100% agree with you. Jalen Hurts is a game manager. He's not a star quarterback. Everyone's talking about him being top 5 bullshit. He's a very good game manager. And that's why he runs the ball. And that's why his stats stink. His stats are very mediocre if you look at them. It's because he manages the game. And the point, here's the deal. God forbid the Commanders go up, maybe even up 2 scores. Let's say that happens. He can't throw over the top and be that guy. Jalen Hurts playing from behind is in trouble. They better hope that they're in front the whole game. But I do agree with you. I like the pace of play. And that's why I'm saying I don't necessarily think this is even close. We could see the Eagles go up by 2 scores, maybe even 3. But they're going to let off because of that slower pace. And I'm thinking it's a backdoor. That's just in my gut.
Commanders +6, -106. I'll see if I can get better vig than that, but at this point, -104, +6, -104 for our guy Dave Rogers, which leads us into the AFC Championship at Arrowhead Stadium here. Take it away, my man. Can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, this is the game we thought last week was bigger. This is what we want to see. This is what we talk about preseason, is this matchup. And I'm going to make this simple. I'm going to elaborate on it, but I'm going to make it simple and kind of just spoiler alert. I've had 3 games this postseason where I've talked about my Papa John's take, and that is better quarterback, better coach, Papa John's. That happened with the Vikings-Rams. The Rams went outright. The Rams covered against the Eagles. And yes, I do think that Stafford's better than Hurts. And if it wasn't for Mark Andrews and all the Vaseline he had all over his hands, we probably would have hit the Ravens too. So that mantra is working. I like to boil it down. And the reason I like to boil it down is all of these factors that happen during the regular season, they're not there. They're all the people that are hurt, the injuries, they're juicing them up with cortisone. Everyone's playing, everyone's hyped. Everyone is there. All of these professional players are there. So you can put it on the most important parts of the game. That's the coach and the QB. And definitely that goes to Kansas City. To me, this seems like Bills backers, because it makes no logical sense, because we've been here 3 times before. And the Bills have lost all 3 times. I think a lot of Bills backers either don't want to see Kansas City, they're bored with Kansas City winning, or they're Josh Allen fanboys. That's kind of how I feel. I don't think in your right logical handicapping mind you could be putting money on the Bills with Kansas City's at home with what they've done. But one of the biggest things, and going at the end of this deal, you kind of have to, everything's been said. I didn't see this being said, although I saw it a couple places, and I wonder if you saw it, Jimmy. ESPN put out it's a meme or a tweet that's been going out, and it has to do with the penalties that the Chiefs' opponents have had while facing them in the playoffs since 2021. And it's super telling. All of us complain about how Mahomes gets calls and all this, but here's it quantified. Since 2021 in the playoffs, Chiefs opponents have 66 penalties in games they played against the Chiefs. Chiefs have 36, almost 2-1. So if you're saying that's by design, by conspiracy, by circumstance, whatever it is, you can't ignore that. Whatever it is, it's a thing. And that's super huge in these big games. And that tipped it off. That had me add an extra unit. I'm on this for 2 units. I'll grade everything by 1 unit, but just in full disclosure, that put it on there. If it's that big of a differential, if the refs are giving him that, or let's say that Patrick Mahomes is great at this. He sees an offsides and he goes for, and he'll go for a long throw and he'll end up getting it, or he'll see a potential pass interference play down the field and he'll throw it there. I think a lot of the penalties have been by design that Patrick Mahomes has done. But either way, whatever you chalk it up to, you can't ignore that statistic.
No, I'm with you. There's so many different things that have fallen. That fall in the Chiefs' hands, and a lot of it is by design. It's not all, but there's certain stats that I just can't get over. And this team is also, the fresher team in this game. I mean, whenever you look at the little things, how is the Chiefs haven't turned the ball over in 8 games? When I first read that stat, I read it on Monday. I had to go through them all. I was like, no way. They just lost 38-0. No way. And I went through them. I was like, oh my God. This team is just I also, with Troy, my co-host, the Bankroll Blitz, he's he really needs the Chiefs not to three-peat. And we've only seen 2 teams in this situation, and neither team has been able to get over that hump. There's a couple things that are against the Chiefs, but they're hard to find. Really, really hard to find. And the first thing, of course, is they're the 4th team in NFL history to be here, to go for their 3rd straight championship, and no team has done it. But the only other thing that I found against the Chiefs, they haven't covered in 2 straight games. Mm-hmm. So if you believe in that trend, there's only 10 teams that have made the conference final on a 2-game plus against spread losing streak. Those teams are 3-7 against the spread. But I believe that the Chiefs are the most complete team in football. And I said that week 15 about in the season. That's when I'd stopped fading them. We'd made a lot of money fading them, and I started backing them with success. So I agree. Are you
on the money line? Or are you laying the points?
I'm on the money line.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, money line. Minus 127 for show purposes. I did send it in. I sent it in at minus 130. I could, when it's 2 or 3 cents better.
I got 125, but I'll take 127. That's fine.
Actually, I just found a minus 126. I didn't see it earlier. I don't know. So, we can take a penny off of it. But I love the breakdown. Is there anything else you're adding to this one, Dave?
No, I'll be looking for live spots like I always do. But I'm keeping it simple. I like to keep it simple in the NFL playoffs. I'm not really a big prop guy anyways, but especially in the playoffs, I like to boil it down to the key factors and variables, and that's it.
I think I have got my SGP. I wasn't going to put one together, but at this point, I think what it will be, and I'm going to sit with it and study it. But I also wanted to make sure that I get it in before about 9 or 10 tonight, because we know a lot of those spots the juice will be coming. I think the over 4.5 rush attempts for Mahomes.
I like that one a lot.
Same here. It's in 2 caps on, and then the over receptions for Kelsey, just receptions, and then the Chiefs money line.
It's a good one.
At this point, I think, because I've been trying to, and I've been barely putting these together here. So I love it. So Dave Rogers, 2 spots, Commanders +6 -104, Chiefs money line at -126 Dave, thank you so much for closing this one out, headlining our conference finals, NFL Pub Hub. Dave, a lot of people asking nonstop, when will Nerd Talk be back? When can we get more Dave Rogers here on YouTube? What's going on with you, my man?
Nerd Talk's not dead. It's dormant. I am still figuring out where it's going to go. But in the meantime, my Twitter DM box is open. And then I make sporadic appearances here and there. Well, one place being with you on the lives, which will go away here soon. But Nerd Talk will be back.
I love it. And I want to figure out how to stay doing live stuff. So I'm going to be figuring it out, how to handle this. We have Dave's X handle right there. Click it and follow our friend Dave Rogers. Thank you so much for being here today. It's an important show for us. And it's a show that has 26 hours of shelf life. So people are going to be able to watch it now for a day. So thank you for rocking with us on a Saturday, Dave. Any last words for the Capper supporting the show, my man?
Nope. Thanks for having me, Jimmy. Thanks. Shout out to the chat, all the guys that were on screen as well. Let's get that money.
There he is, Mr. Dave Rogers in the house. Thank you guys so much. I was able to get through an NFL Pub Hub. As you know, Jose's in Vegas, so without a producer. So thank you to Big T for loading up all of the graphics. It means a ton. So thank you, Big T. Tron, my man, taking care of business. Rick J saying Dave lost some weight. Rick J inspiring us. Rick J down 55 pounds as well. We do a lot of sitting and watching and capping, so it's important to stay active so that we can continue to cap for as long as possible. Let's review all action here on the show. I've got 3 bets and then my Eagles to win the NFC at plus 600. And I'm going to go back to this angle again. The underdogs went 4-0 against the spread on the closing line, the divisional round, for the first time since 2007 and the third time in NFL history. Underdogs are 7-3 against the spread in the playoffs. And everybody's on underdogs. Everybody's on the money line or the spread. We know from the Action Network what they're telling us. We heard from Brizzy what they're telling us at BetMGM. And I think the public is going to take a lukewarm, filthy fucking bath. And I think that the Eagles will meet the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which would be so much fun. Let's review action here. My Philly, Washington under 48, feel great about. Chiefs money line minus 123, feel great about. Buffalo, Kansas City under 48, I'm very uncomfortable with. And the Eagles win the NFC at plus 600. Bet that on October 30th. And if I bet it the week before, which I said I was going to, was at 9-1, and I messed that up. Nate, I have not bet any NHL. My whole plan was to be on the Avalanche today, and then they made the trade for Rantanen. I stayed off of it. I had another plan to be, on the Senators. I had a plan to be on the Lightning. The Lightning didn't get in until 3 a.m, and they won in overtime. I was hoping they were going to lose to the Blackhawks. The Leafs are coming off of a loss. I just now for you guys to know, my pops did send in $300 on the Capitals at minus 120, and you guys know I don't think I'm fading both these teams, and obviously the Capitals are hurting me, but I'm not sending it in. So basically, I have action on the Knuckleheads tonight. It's just it's tricky. Then B. Lee saying the Habs. I'm interested in the Habs still. I'm interested in the Senators still, but at this is as hard of an NHL card as I could ever remember. I found it extremely difficult. The Oilers, I can't back them after that very emotional victory against the Canucks. I find a lot of this unappealing. Maybe it is the Kraken that should be bet here in an hour and a half. I'll take another look at that. But there's just so many teams playing against each other that I'm fading both of them. Thank you, Stimmy, my man. Well, again, let me hit that with you guys again. It's just the best ROI in the business. Any team that loses by 30 plus points, you just blindly take them the next game. So the last 2 times this has happened in the last few days was the Warriors cashing that plus 7.5. And then here the Pacers cashing their -2. All right. Saturated, my man. Great to see you. Thank you all for being here. Let's do a final review of action here. Ramon Scott, Barkley over 149.5 rush yards, plus 160. Goddard over 5.5 receptions, plus 250. Goddard over 59.5 receiving yards, plus 200. Eckler over 24.5 rushing, at plus 140. Then we have Shakir over 6.5 receptions at plus 180. Kelsey over 7.5 receptions, plus 150. Brown over 69.5 receiving yards at plus 415. We have Keith coming off a 5-1 plus 7.9 unit week. He's on Washington plus 6 at minus 105, and Zane Gonzalez over 6.5 points at plus 100. He's on the over 48 in Buffalo, Kansas City, and Kincaid over 30.5 receiving yards. Nicholas Earl on the Eagles minus 6 in the Chiefs money line. Marley on the Eagles minus 6, Chiefs money line, and the under 48.5 in Buffalo, Kansas City. Flash is on the Eagles first half minus 3. That's at minus 123. Gainwell over 10.5 rushing yards in the over 47. Flash is on the Chiefs first half minus a half at plus 101. Chiefs full game minus 1.5, minus 111. Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts at minus 130. Justin McKelvie's on Jaden Daniels interception, Jalen Carter sack, minus 115 and plus 120 respectively. He's on Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown at plus 170. Dawson Knox anytime touchdown plus 525. And he's got Eagles to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl plus 410. Guns is on Eagles minus 6 at minus 106. He's on the over 48 in Buffalo, Kansas City, and Xavier Worthy over 47.5 receiving yards. Brizzy is on Eagles minus 6 at minus 106. Zach Ertz anytime touchdown. Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown. Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts. So I should give that rush attempts that Flash put out, because we did find it for minus 114. So let's take the VIG off of that one for our friend Flash. Then let's roll into our guy, just my 2 cents. SGP, Barkley 90 plus rush yards. Barkley anytime touchdown. Daniels 175 plus passing yards. That's a plus 100 SGP for just my 2 cents, who's gone 4 for 4 in winning shows on our show, being in the black every single time he's here. This is the drive for 5. He's also got the Eagles Chiefs money line parlay at plus 145. I wonder if I could beat that line for him. Let's just see if I can just quickly beat that money line. So Eagles Chiefs plus 143. So I can't. You got 2 cents better. Then the Sweaty Butcher Prime Cut Washington Philly first quarter over 9.5. He's on Eckler over 3.5 receptions at plus 120. Hurts over 7.5 carries at minus 115. Barkley longest rush at over 25.5 yards. He's on Pacheco under 40.5 rushing receiving. Cook anytime touchdown. His surf and turf is Eckler over 3.5 receptions and Cook anytime touchdown. Then Dave Rogers just gave us the Commanders plus 6 and the Chiefs money line. That, my friends, is our conference final show. A shout out to all you guys in the chat. Rick Jason thinks that Washington game will go over. It makes I'm nervous about both spots, but I like that one better than the other one. Jose Bouquet saying, great job, Jimmy. I'm still alive for now. Hope you had a great time golfing with CMAC at 7 a.m. this morning. Thank you for getting T to do the graphics for us, Jose. We're thinking about you in Vegas. Go get that money, my man. Hope you were on the Pacers with us. The greatest angle. Lose by 30 points. Bet him immediately. Next up, Tim Kelleher, Jose Bouquet, Rick J, Beverly Hills Ninja, Dust 10, DC Capper, just my 2 cents, Saturated, B Lee, Stimmy, OG, and we have a gifted Pub Sports radio membership from Rez Mob. What a great way to end the show, Rez. Thank you so much for thinking of it. Thank you to Old E as well, Gorky. They're just so many great friends of the channel. Nasty Nate, The Sweaty Butcher, Doug Reed, thank you, Harold Williams, Thomas Maggio, JT Eel, Young Native Tino. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Truly, truly, thank you. Let's get that cash. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. Man Bear Pig, the Dab Father, who's hopefully going to rock with us in San Antonio. To all of you guys, thank you for supporting our channel. It means the world to us. I'm inspired. I just love the opportunity to be here with you guys. I'm inspired to work harder and harder and harder and harder. It brings so much joy to my life, as this community does. Thank you guys. Roll that shit like the shit. Smoke it. Go get that cash and join us for a little cornhole in San Antonio. Join us for a little cornhole in San Antonio coming up very, very soon. Pubapalooza 4. Also, don't forget, the card show, the Alamo card show, is next week. And there might be 1 or 2 tables left. They're almost all gone. But Vince Young, the great Vince Young, going to be live at the show. And someone from Beckett's going to be there authenticating every signature as well. So Vince Young going to be there. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for us. Very, very thankful. Now let's get that cash. A giant, giant day tomorrow. On behalf of all of us at Pub Sports Radio, Jeff Slaughter, Jose Bouquet, and myself, thank you guys so much for your support. Now it's time for us to get paid in full. Get that cash.
Pub Sports Radio's the crew, that's a fact. We all about bread, making bank accounts fat. Who the hell is that? LJ from the H, I stack green like Boston. Shout out to Nasty Nate from down south, where we ride on slab. 420 highway smoking with that boy Dabby Cab. Swing by Dallas with them Cowboy fans so we can smoke out J Money, cause you know that's our mans. Us against the bookies, put money in our pockets. Fly out to Vegas, meet up with Ski Profit. Hit the sports books, we got money to stack. Can't forget them college picks with that boy Conor Mack.